Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner and operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. So, what we do on our program is I take an individual film, and me and my special guest kind of critique, analyze, have a conversation about that particular film in order to get into the nitty-gritty of the bowels of that film. Whether it is a good film, bad film, mediocre film, or a film that people just never heard of because they just didn't bother with it. Tonight's film is, we're going to see how that goes and where it fits within that oeuvre, because we are talking about the movie Jaws, The Revenge. Now, since this is part of our franchise month, you can also listen to the other podcasts on the first three movies in the franchise, but during this one, we're going to be talking about the fourth and final film for right now. And to discuss this film with me, I have a plethora of guests today, starting with Mr. Dave Watkins, Mr. Thomas Tinarello, and Mr. John Conkle. I am so happy you guys are here to discuss what I can only say is one of my favorite movies. So, I am going to go ahead and ask you all, kind of like, what was your impressions of the film and when did you actually see it for the first time? And we're going to start with you, Mr. Dave, to kind of get you...
Okay, yeah. Before I get into what I thought, I do want to say this being the fourth Jaws movie we've covered. When we first started doing this, I was not kind of dreading it a little bit. But now that we're on the fourth one, I'm kind of a little sad that it's the last Jaws we're talking about. So
we wish we had more to talk.
Yeah, but it was like the first one. I was like, man, I've seen that like 100 times. But anyway, as far as my take on this one, it's a lot different watching it this time than the first time. When I saw it a long time ago, I thought it wasn't all that good, and I kind of thought I remembered it. But when I started watching it again this time, I watched it in 4K, which it looks really good on 4K, but the movie was not nearly as good as I even remembered it to begin with. Even I know you love the movie, but I think it has a lot of good stuff in it, which we'll talk about. My main issue is, so there's not that many. It's a Jaws movie, and the main. So there's a couple. There's like two kills in the movie. One at the beginning, and one about 3/4 of the way in. And the first one's cool. The second one sucks. And there's one character that gets almost killed, but who should have been killed, but isn't killed. But it's kind of nice that he doesn't get killed. But it's also
that depends on which version you're watching.
Yeah. But the thing that the director, who is well known for working with like strong characters, and he really tries to develop the characters in a way that it's nice seeing those character scenes, but it doesn't feel like a Jaws movie when it's happening. And what happens, the biggest thing about it to me that sucks, or that is weird anyway, that the shark starts off in Amity Island in off the coast of New England, and then he follows them to the Bahamas, and then the shark doesn't. Like at first he's just kind of hanging out and he's kind of like not really attacking for like a long time until suddenly he does. That was what I thought was a little off. And it was almost like it was like the director was trying to make something more of the movie than what it actually is. Anyway.
Yeah. And what about you, Thomas?
I think I saw this movie for the first time when I was out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I was bobbing along on an inner tube, and somebody played it on a floating screen, and I was never the same since. So, yeah.
Okay.
So how did you watch it out on the fucking ocean?
This would be a terrible movie to watch on the Atlantic Ocean for many reasons, especially because like half of it you're going to be wishing that you were in the Bahamas instead of wherever you're floating along, because the Bahamas stuff does look beautiful and makes you want to go to the Bahamas. But then I found out that it's not actually the Bahamas. They shot this movie in Hawaii.
Well, Hawaii looks awesome too if you've ever been there, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Water. I don't know, but I kind of want to go to either of those because the water looks so beautiful.
In Hawaii, it's awesome, man. But snorkeling out there to see all this cool shit under the water.
I'll bet, yeah. So I think the first time I saw this was probably it was very late at night, and it was either Showtime or HBO or HBO2. There was a period of time where HBO had like 4 different HBOs, and they would all play different movies.
Yeah.
And at one point, I did watch this, and I couldn't have watched all of it because there are huge chunks of this movie that I just do not.
Yeah,
remember.
Same thing happened to me where I thought I remembered this thing. I was watching it, I was like, I blanked out. I probably was watching the beginning and then completely zoned out for the middle part and then came back at the end. Yeah,
Yeah, because the whole middle act of this movie makes you do that. And not intentionally so. The other thing is it's how like technically speaking, you asked me when did I first see this movie? If we're going to talk about this movie, the real answer to that question, Kevin, is last night, yesterday. Because technically speaking, the version that you sent me in Dropbox is not the version I saw on HBO, Cinemax, whatever, at 2:00 in the morning back in the 90s, which is when I thought this movie was made. I didn't realize this was an 80s movie.
It's the 80s
I didn't realize this movie was made in 1987, released July 14th, which means that depending on which day this particular episode drops, we may be coming upon the 40th anniversary of Jaws: The Revenge and the 51st anniversary of the original Jaws, so it all comes together. But yeah, because this version has a different ending than the one that I saw and the one that was ingrained in my head.
But yeah, but the ending on this one is the one I saw. You saw it with the original ending?
Yeah, the original ending, I distinctly remember they impale the freaking shark in the gills with the broken, spoilers, with the broken prow or whatever you call that from the ship.
With the mast or something.
The mast, there you go, the broken mast.
Yeah.
And they just impale it there, Cthulhu style, because that's what they do to Cthulhu in the book Call of Cthulhu. They impale it on the ship's mast, which I think is pretty cool. But and I thought that was the coolest, bloodiest thing, and I would often imagine killing monsters like that when I was a kid, because I thought it was probably when I was 11.
It's weird that you saw it with that ending.
Also, Conkle knows, but also confirmation that this is the original ending is that when Nintendo put out their Jaws video game, which I played quite a bit, frustratingly, because that game is not well designed and it's very hard to beat.
Yeah.
There is one mini game where for most of the game you play as either a scuba diver running around trying to collect snails, just like Lance Guest does in this movie, actually. And
technically called conchs.
Conchs, whatever you want to call them.
I've seen some of those before in the ocean too.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah, so I'm sure John Conkle knows all about the conchs. But anyway,
so it's my namesake.
Yeah, and so you're shooting them, or you're playing as the shark, which I think is pretty cool. You can play as the shark, and you get bigger and bigger the more things you eat. But there's a mini game where you're on the ship and you're steering the ship, and you're trying to impale the shark with your ship, and I could never get it to do that.
Yeah, that sounds really frustrating. Really,
it is.
It's kind of like that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Nintendo game, I would assume.
I mean, it's almost as bad as trying to land the plane in Top Gun.
Oh yeah. Now, I do have a little insight on that. I did some research on the ending and what happened. So apparently they played it in the U.S. with that ending, and people hated it so much that they reshot the ending. And Michael Caine was supposed to be accepting Academy Award for Hannah and her Three Sisters, I believe.
Hannah and her Sisters.
Yeah.
Sisters, which is pretty good movie. But he was supposed to, but they basically had to reshoot it so he couldn't be there to accept the Academy Award. So I bet, but then after that, most releases should have had that other ending on it, which I saw this originally on regular television with commercials, and it did have, I remember the ending. It's on here because of the slow motion thing that goes on for forever, but it didn't seem as bad this time as the first time I saw it. For some reason I really hated that shit a lot. This slow motion, kill stuff.
It makes if it's the shot that I'm thinking of, and we'll get to it, that then it actually makes the fake shark look so much faker.
Oh yeah.
He is so far out of the water, it makes zero sense for him to be pretty much standing on his tail.
Yeah, but that's the ending you're talking about, like when he's out of the water, like on the ending that's on the disc I have. they do it a different way, but they do have a shot of that. They actually kept a shot from the original ending in there, like the part where the mask goes into him briefly.
Yeah, but then they decide to like turn the electrical thing. I mean, again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here, but we'll explain it when we get to it. But they try to science the monster to death, which I appreciate, but it ends up being sloppy editing from the first movie. Turns the scientific device into a generic bomb, and they just recycle that footage from the first movie. And I'm like, oh gosh.
We really it was like after that slow motion part, I was kind of checked out of the whole thing anyway when the first time I was watching, so it didn't really matter to me how the shark died anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of like, let's take the most awesome part of Jaws 3, with everybody looking in slow motion as the shark coming at you, and everybody's going to go like, oh, this is just like that awesome scene in Jaws 3. I don't know what they were thinking. The slow motion.
Yeah.
Nobody does.
No, it had to have been but the problem was they had to reshoot the ending, and then they got in there after they had already reshot it again, and then it was like, damn, it still sucks. What are we gonna do? We're gonna put it in slow motion.
Well, I think there was more of a style that was going on during the late 80s, dudes. Oh, yeah. That was in a lot of movies in the late 80s. I don't think that was like something that kind of necessarily hide the flaw. I think that was just part of what they did a lot in the late 80s.
Well, I think what you're referring to there, Kevin, maybe is like, this is the late 80s. This is the proliferation of the home video market was happening.
That's correct.
VHS was getting big at that time. And some studios tried to take advantage of this to use it to recoup their losses at the box office by making a slightly better, quote unquote, version of the movie for video retailers. The problem with a lot of those is that for whatever reason, most of the time, they did not bother to tell anybody that that's what they did until you watch the freaking movie and were surprised. So
yeah, it's like Greedo shooting first, like kind of like the proto version.
in the early 80s, they did that to most movies, dude. You gotta remember that most movies
made them look
still
slow motion,
shot in widescreen. If you were shot in widescreen, they would use pan and scan to fix the issues when they went to VHS, but no one knew that unless you were a techie. They did that with a lot of movies.
Yeah, but that's a radically different thing, though. That's radically different from going back to the Bahamas and getting Melvin Van Peebles back and making him bleed and have dialogue. That's a whole other thing. That's reshoots way after the fact.
Mario Van
movies
Peebles.
have reshoots all the time, dude. They had them back then, and they still have them now. That's not a big thing.
Now this is the last time they ever had a reshoot in a movie.
No, but like after it's released, dude. After it's released,
they're like, we're not doing any more reshoots. This is it.
But you're comparing pan and scan to this, and that's not the same thing.
So what are we fucking talking about?
This movie has turned us against each other. Okay,
no. We were talking about how they changed the movie of the theatrical version to the one that they originally screened for audiences who ended up hating it. So they shot a new version of the ending, which happens all the time. It happened then, it happens now. It's not a big deal. And then when it came to video, Thomas was trying to say that they actually changed it a little bit more without telling audiences. And I'm like, dude, that happened all the time. That's nothing new. We now know that now because us as film people realize that we love to watch films the way they were originally presented to us, which is in widescreen. But on VHS, it was all 4:3. They had to change it back then. Nowadays, they don't do that. They don't do that. But back then, everything was done that way. So it's something that we have gotten used to now because it's not new. We hear about movies being reshot all the time. It's nothing new.
But I don't think they would do that today in the sense. I mean, that would have been like, we all know that I Am Legend had a completely different reshoot, the one with Will Smith.
Yeah.
But that would be like if they released that, ending where spoilers for that movie, by the way, which probably should be on our list, by the way, because it's technically a horror movie. Where that movie where he blows himself up at the end and dies, that's the theatrical ending. That would be as if the studio quietly decided to release every version physical version
Yeah.
of I Am Legend with Will Smith with the quote unquote original ending that they'd originally shot. where
There's
he lived.
several endings for that film on
Yeah,
the
several
special
endings.
features. But yeah,
And
yeah.
but if that was the only version that was available for years, that's what they did here. Because
Well-
like the official ending that Watkins is referring to, with the shark exploding after being impaled, an MVP living, that is the only version you can get on physical media.
Yeah.
That's what's on DVD, that's what's on VHS. And unless you were one of those brave folks out there who were smart enough to record this movie dubbed onto VHS off of TV back in the day, you cannot find it unless you're going to dig deep into the YouTubes.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, you could get the ending. The ending's on the 4K, but it's not in the movie. It's not like you can't watch
Yeah,
the
it's
movie
just-
with
it's
the
just a
ending.
special-
It's like
yeah,
a
that
special
sucks. I
feature.
don't like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
That sucks. I don't like
let's find out what Conkle thought.
Yeah,
about
let's
this
go to
thing.
Conkle next.
I'm sorry, Conkle.
Wait, but keep in
No.
mind, what we've been doing with the Jaws franchise is kind of telling our own little stories and stuff about it. We're not going to go through the whole movie. Like,
Oh, we might. For this, we might.
We're not going to. So, Conkle,
I got 20 pages of notes.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
It's like 10. But,
Yeah, okay, guys. So I wanted to first of all just show y'all my newspaper
Summer School.
clipping
Summer School.
of Summer School, and
I
over
love
here we
Summer School,
got
man.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Okay, but the more important was like oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
you go like
full thing.
yeah
So-
yeah so
So-
You cut it out for Jaws the Revenge because the other two are like Full Metal Jacket.
yeah, not-
Yeah.
that's one of those throwaway movies.
Yeah, yeah.
dude, I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing. If I had kept mine.
I actually like
Yeah.
Summer School better than this movie, though.
Yeah.
So-
Oh, and it's got more horror pedigree. Really.
Yeah,
It's got more
does.
better horror movie scenes in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It does.
Bunnies from hell, baby. Bunnies from hell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. They had those two characters. You go in. Well, let's talk about Summer School. We got those two characters.
Yeah,
that
they're
you
horror
go like,
stuff.
I identify
They-
with somebody
yeah.
in this
Can you
movie.
imagine
But-
that shit? And then they bring like the chainsaw into the school and stuff, and it's like, they don't get expelled. I guess it's summer school though, but it's
Yeah.
still.
My son once drew a picture of like a samurai sword, not a sword, like a Arabian Nights, sword
Oh, yeah.
on
Scimitar.
like a thing. Yeah. He
They
drew
expelled
that
him
on a.
forever. They're like,
Yeah.
"You're done."
They said
Yeah.
like, Mr. Conkle, we've got a problem with your son. He's drawing weapons in
Yeah,
school. I'm
yeah.
going like, are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm just going around the bush here because Jaws
bush?
3, the underwater bush, right?
Yeah, what bush you're
I'm-
talking about.
yeah, the bush that I'm beating around.
Yeah, okay,
Right. All right. Okay, so with Jaws 3, I was going in expecting to hate that, and I actually walked away going like, oh, I enjoy this in like a Saturday morning kind of way, okay? I was like, it was running out of time, spring break has been happening. I was going like, okay, now I'm going to chill out, watch a Jaws movie so I can talk about it, with Kevin and the gang and everything. And so I put it on right before, thank you for the link there, sir. And so we put on Jaws Revenge, and I think I'm glad it's taken a little while to get to this point to talk about the movie because I was so enraged at watching it that I really was too emotional to talk about it because it was probably like one of those movies that I just thought was so terrible. I was like angry that I was watching it, but I was also like you, Dave, where I was like going like, I don't remember this being that shitty. And somehow this movie is insultingly bad.
You really you hated that Valentine movie.
Yeah, I would say right. I would.
Which one did you
say
hate more?
R.I.P. Jamie Blanks, and I take back every bad thing I said about Valentine. That movie is a classic compared to this movie. I was angry. Okay, so I was angry at myself for watching it so many times on HBO back in the 80s. I probably seen this movie 10 times, because they played it a lot over at Cool Dad's house on the weekend. Okay, so we watched it. I was excited about it and everything, and they played it a lot, and I was going like, Jaws. I love Jaws. I love me some Jaws. And And then, so I've seen it a lot, and I played that Nintendo game, and I won the Nintendo game. That's how much time I have spent invested in Jaws: The Revenge, and it was a good memory. It was a good like going like, oh, even as a kid, I knew it was kind of bad, and it was kind of funny bad, and everything. But when I was watching this, I guess I got mad, not just that the movie was so terrible, but all those hours of misspent youth, like. Wrapped into Jaws 4, and I was going like, I don't know. That's what happens when you don't join the Boy Scouts or have any clubs and your only interest is horror movies. You get wrapped up into these bad influence movies, and like Jaws 4, I just was going like, it made me angry. It made me angry, and I was going like, this is not like even, I was like you, Dave, I was like, this isn't even like a horror movie. This is more like a movie about a widower finding love in the Bahamas.
It's Hallmark with a little
Yes.
bit of shark in it.
Little
But
shark, and it doesn't happen. They're like, you got the first one, and there peppers some shark attacks, but no kills, and then the banana boat scene is like
Stupid.
it's an hour into the movie.
Yeah. But it's
of a
stupid.
90
It doesn't
movie.
even make sense. But there's some dream sequences. That's so they try to compensate with dream sequences.
Mhm.
But there's this train of thought about a movie being so bad that it's good, but it has to have a lot more violence in it, and they have to really embrace.
Yeah.
They have to embrace the insanity. Here, they were trying to make a good movie,
Right.
but with a stupid fucking idea that you can't fucking make it good when the idea doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because you hit it right on the head. I put that on my notes. I'm like, this movie does not commit to its own crazy. And that is the fundamental flaw of it, is that it has craziness ideas to it, but it does not go full crazy, and that would have made it so much better.
Yeah.
But what's so funny about it, because they play it so straight, because sometimes a bad movie is good because they play it straight. And so this movie is actually kind of funny in a way, but bad funny, in that they're playing it so straight that had this just been a serial killer, that the cop had put somebody away in jail and now he's out and he's coming after the family. Now that's like a Silence of the Lambs thriller. But you take the killer and you make him a shark, and you're like, what?
It's like I think Kevin suggested. This is basically Cape Fear with a shark, except that's a good movie. But also, now that you mention it, Conkle, I looked up on the in my cursory research on this. Apparently, one of the original ideas, which made it into the novelization of Jaws: The Revenge, which, from what I understand, that novelization as a novel is much better than the thing we watched. Is in the novelization, there's this whole voodoo subplot.
Yeah. That shit would have made this movie a good bad movie.
Yes.
But they find out that the shark is actually being controlled by this voodoo guy who has a grudge against the Brodies for reasons.
Yeah.
And that he's able to actually control the shark and do its bidding.
Yeah, I think that Mike Brody pissed him off by being a dick to him, and
Yeah.
he's just decided
We could talk for hours about Mike Brody, the great Lance Guest. I do love Lance Guest because Lance Guest was in what started one of my favorite cult sci-fi movies of all time, which of course is The Last Starfighter, which I think is the first movie my wife and I watched when we were on our honeymoon.
Because we can't see it, but here is the Arrow 4K release of it.
I want to get that. I want to get that so bad.
You got a bag.
Yeah.
You got a bag.
That is
I love
gorgeous
that
rockets.
movie.
Yes, but it's just so great. He's kind of a wooden actor in that movie. He's kind of a wooden actor in this movie, but he's kind of he's sort of in the same vein as like Zach Galligan in Gremlins, where he's one of those kind of bland white guys, except he's like a skinny matchstick man. And sometimes, but he's got a beard in this one, so he seems more mature. He's got a beard, and that makes him more mature.
I love going back
about him as an actor. I kind of almost feel like a face blindness to him. Like if I were to see him, I probably would not recognize him, which is weird, I knew he was Lance Guest from Last Starfighter, but to me, like if I'm looking at the two, I don't immediately know.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, he does there's like a blandness to his features that if you were to insert beard and then subtract beard, you would think that it's like the Superman effect, glasses, Clark Kent,
Yeah.
no glasses.
Yeah. It's
Superman.
probably that.
Oh my gosh.
Probably
Put
that.
the glasses back on. Oh, what did you do with Clark Kent? It would be like that.
Look, I
He
think
was
this
also
guy.
in Halloween 2, remember?
Yeah,
Which we
absolutely.
also discussed already.
And if we want to just do a deep dive, late phases is a werewolf movie he's in that
Yep.
I really enjoy.
Oh, he's in that?
Right, yeah. I've seen late
Yeah.
phases. Yeah.
He's
Yeah, he
in
does-
that? Oh man, now I really
Yeah.
want to see
Who
late
does
phases.
he play in
Oh.
late phases?
He plays the young one.
Yeah.
It's like there's a guy who's the youngest person I think in the movie is probably in his 50s. So he's
got
the guy
in a
in his
retirement
50s.
home, right? It's
Right,
like-
right.
It's probably what is his son or something like that.
Something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, probably
his
comes
son.
goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't look the same. I mean, he's
Nah, he's older. Much older.
older guy.
Yeah,
Older guy.
I don't know. I think he does a good job in here. I think most of the actors do pretty good,
No.
but to me, he doesn't stand out to me as that memorable.
I think he does.
Michael
Yeah.
Caine is in the movie.
Oh,
Michael
gosh.
Caine.
Yeah,
Michael
Yeah.
Caine.
Mike and a paycheck.
yeah.
Yeah. No. I think I want. Can we just linger a bit on bland white guys as the leading guy in the movie? I think it's like the Paul Rudd effect. It's like we just need like kind of wishy-washy white dude to be in the movies.
You know what? I think we're back to
cipher.
that. I think we're back to that though nowadays, right? Because that explains the rise of Glenn Powell. Like
I don't
bland
know.
white guy.
But I
just
can tell. I
love
can
it.
tell Glenn Powell though. Apart from if I see him in something, I can tell him. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like
Glenn
Paul-
Powell
yeah.
he's in that Scream Queens. He's pretty damn funny in that.
Oh, okay.
I think the difference between Glenn Powell and Lance Guest is that Glenn Powell is more of a female magnet, and I don't think Lance Guest ever was.
No,
Yeah,
no, you're
As
right.
much as I
You're
like
right.
Lance Guest in the 80s, I don't think he was ever designed to be a ladies' magnet like, say, C. Thomas Howell, who was
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
bland.
you're right.
But
Yeah.
then,
Right.
that's what he
Right.
was.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
Rob
wait,
Lowe.
so Dennis Quaid had played the character previously, and he was actually offered the part again and turned it down. But in comparison, I mean, he kind of looks a little. It's almost like they couldn't get Dennis Quaid, so they were like, we need to find someone kind of like him a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
What can you imagine this movie had it had Dennis Quaid and Beth Armstrong in it,
Yeah.
reprising their roles like Jaws 3D Part 2?
It
I
probably
don't
would have
know
been.
about
It probably would have been
weird.
better though.
It would
Oh,
have been
yeah.
a better movie.
Oh,
yes.
oh my gosh!
Yes.
Dennis Quaid has like
Yeah.
charisma. I mean, Lance
Yeah.
Guest, I love him, and he's in movies I like, But yeah, he is kind of. I think Lance Guest was in a really good movie here, Jaws 4, but it wasn't like Jaws. This time it's personal. He did a good job playing a son dealing with his manic mother. All right,
I think you're right, Conkle. He's
Yeah.
in a different movie.
Yeah,
He's playing a completely different movie than what is being actually asked of him.
Well,
He's
well,
doing-
no.
I
I
don't
think
think that-
I think the problem is that's what this movie is. This is a movie. This is like a Brody family Christmas set in the Bahamas, and
Oh,
they go in and like
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie, if you
it's
forgot.
a Christmas movie
I
in the
forgot,
Bahamas,
yes.
and it's
It's
about
a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
about
it's,
the
it's only
moms.
Christmas for the first 30 minutes, and then they
Oh, no.
let it up on it. So it's-
Oh, no, this is
We
no
do-
Christmas.
Okay, it's the holiday season. All
Yeah,
Well,
but-
yeah, New Year's happens, not like, and then you're in the fucking Bahamas, but
Yeah.
I really like the opening in Amity Island. It was really like I didn't even remember it taking place at Christmas. It was actually
neither.
pretty
Yeah.
good, like the first of it. And
Yeah.
I was like, can you imagine this if the whole movie took place in this frozen like Amity Island? I mean, during Christmas, like the whole thing,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would have
yeah.
been a much better movie.
It
That
would
would
have
have
had
much
more
better movie.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Well, that also in this movie, and even as a kid, we're talking about you're watching a horror movie and you're having a good time, and then you're going like at some point, it it craps out on you, and you kind of hope it gets back up on its feet. For me, even watching it now, but when I was a kid and first saw it, as soon as the arm bite. When the guy gets his arm bit off. I mean, it starts off fine. You're going like, oh,
Yeah.
they're trying to recreate that vibe of kind of manic or disorganized chaos of the island life, and I'm thinking they're doing pretty good there. They got a lot of different plates are spinning.
They're up there on the beach, like singing and stuff, and he's going out in the water. They got this choir of Christmas music singing, and that part's pretty cool.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, it suffers.
I hate it that the one thing I don't like. Roy Scheider was actually supposed to play that part originally, which would have made it even worse, I think.
Oh my god! And he died at the opening credits.
They did it. They wanted him to be in there, but then since he wouldn't come, they made it his son, the younger son, Sean Brody, which is a big bummer. And then you're dealing with grief the rest of the movie. So then it's a bummer.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Because that's one of my big questions that I had while I was watching this. Because I was like, okay, which Brody kid is each of them? Because so is Sean Brody
the cowboy?
Was he the one who almost got bit by the shark on the boat?
Now they got rid of continuity from Jaws 3, but he's the younger brother.
He's
the younger brother.
So that makes it even worse. He escaped the shark in the first movie, only to get chomped by him in the 4th/2nd movie.
This movie kind of dismisses with the second and third one. It's really a sequel to the first one.
That's what I was thinking.
They don't make mention of Sean almost dying in the second movie. They do not make mention of that.
Sorry, do you think it would be even worse to me if Roy Scheider got his ass handed to him the way that the son gets his ass handed to him?
Okay. So, can you imagine Roy Scheider with his arm tucked behind him, going like?
It would be awful, man. I think people would have left the theater.
I would have been, because they would have put him in the trailer like Roy Scheider, Lord Gray, Jaws of Revenge.
Well, I think you'd have a much different film if they had done that. I don't think they would have used this script if they had Roy Scheider. They would have had a different script altogether.
I'm sure they were just trying to get him as a cameo. They were
that's what they wanted. They sent him and then they sent him and he's just like, "Fuck you."
Nowadays we would do cameos, but back then they wouldn't have done a lot of cameos like that.
Well, they tried to get Richard Dreyfuss in there too as a cameo. It was just gonna be a phone conversation, like real lame.
Yeah, oh my god. No, Kevin, this is all on the trivia and everything that they were trying. Roy Scheider was supposed to be a cameo. Everybody, I guess, just said like, I'm really need to distance myself from this. And
they may have. I mean, I guess what they're saying is they didn't want to do it, but at the same time, they may not have just wanted to come in and do like some stupid scene. Well, Roy Scheider getting killed would have been horrific, though. It would have just been such a bummer, man. It would have just been like, the movie would not have recovered. It doesn't really recover anyway.
You're right. It would have been, but also, you know what? Also, it would have done. It would have put a gloom over everything, and it also kind of in a weird way would have ratcheted up the tension way too early. Because if your hero from your last movie who survived all of that dies in the beginning of this movie, then it means that, guess what? Everyone's screwed. You be thinking there's no way anyone's going to beat him because Roy Scheider can get killed by him. The only other movie I could think of that did that and did it, well, actually, there's two I could think of. There's two, this is what I call the Alien 3 effect. If they did that, which is to say,
it would have been just like Alien 3.
It would have been just like Alien 3 because in Alien 3, they just literally just kill pretty much kill everybody that you loved from the second movie, except for Sigourney Weaver, and expect you to still be along for the ride. Right. No, screw you, David Fincher. You figured that out.
Yeah, it kind of works.
But the second thing is that there's only two other times I could think of where that worked. Both of them were low-budget horror movies, and both of them were the best in the franchises, though. And those were Subspecies 2, Bloodstone, where they literally kill. It's Full Moon Entertainment's flagship vampire series, and I freaking love those movies.
I haven't seen it, but I love that you referred to that. That's great.
Yeah. I had the box set at one time on DVD, but I sold it. If they come out with some 4Ks, I'll get it again. They made another one recently.
You should. But like the second movie of that franchise literally begins with with the villain killing your hero from the first movie who defeated him, and then the vampire resurrects, takes a stake, and says, "Sorry, brother, but the Bloodstone's mine." Bam! He is now dead, and the rest of the franchise is just the female lead from the first movie, now recast with a better actress, and completely you just follow her journey for the rest of the thing, and it worked.
Because it wasn't Roy Schneider. Roy
Right.
Schneider, but
Yeah, it
another
wasn't
one
Roy
before you throw out your other second one, I think one that surprisingly works is Maniac Cop 2.
That would have been my second one.
Yeah.
That
Was it
my
really?
second one.
Shit.
They freaking kill Bruce
Incapado.
Campbell in a horrible, stupid way. I mean, I feel like they switched deaths. I feel like the girl from the first one should have been killed while reading a newspaper and stabbed, and it was Bruce Campbell who should have died fighting the Maniac Cop with a chainsaw.
Yeah,
But,
it would have been cooler. But like, it's a little disappointing. But then the movie is actually better than the first movie. The Maniac
Agreed.
Cop 2.
Totally is. Yeah, it totally is. So maybe Joseph Sargent, the director of this one, thought that he could get away with that and then thought better of it later. I still say, though, in a weird way, it's still got the Alien 3 effect. Because even though these are grown-ass men, as they say, you still feel like, especially if this is pertaining to be a second, this is what we call a legacy sequel, folks. This movie was doing that before it was fame, before it was success, before it was a thing, because it pretends that 3 didn't exist, it pretends that 2 didn't happen, and it tries to, and I guess it tries to do that to its benefit by trying to make the premise seem slightly less ridiculous. It doesn't work, but they try to do it anyway. But yet still having at least one of their kids who survived the shark in the first movie get killed. Like, I mean, the shark just rips off his arm, Bethany Hamilton style. And if you don't know who that is, Google her. But anyway, and he's just there yelling and helpless, and nobody can hear him.
It's a horrific scene, yeah.
It's very horrific, and I have to say, it's probably the best part in the whole movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's the best part of the movie.
You know, I want to say something about it real quick. When he gets his arm ripped off, there's like this shot. The actor does a really good job. He has this look of relief on his face, like he survived the attack, but then he notices his arm's ripped off, and then a look of horror comes over his face, and that's just really like traumatizing.
You're right, and I will say that scene made me realize something where I was like, that's the thing about this franchise is that it has always, to the very end, it has always been the one PG-13 rated horror franchise that is able to get away with things that I don't think any other movie with this rating has. It feels, just for that moment, it makes it feel edgier than it ought to be. Because like the first one started with like a naked woman getting eaten by a shark, and slowly, and then it had the head popping out, and then you have like so much blood. There's so much blood altogether. Then in part 3D, I think has the highest body count of all of them, and you just see people get chomped pretty up close and personal. And they're still PG and PG-13. Like, I don't think there's any other horror franchise that's in the PG-13 range that does this.
These were 70s and 80s movies, dude.
Yeah. That original one, it was rated PG because it was either PG or rated R. That was the only two options.
PG.
But, yeah,
I know.
They didn't have PG-13, so it was rated PG.
Yeah, you couldn't get away with that these days. Even at PG-13, I think you'd have...
No, PG-13 even became pretty neutered after a while, especially, around the age of all the horror movie remakes, like the Prom Nights and all that stuff. They were pretty bloodless.
The 2000s, the entire decade of the aughts. Or the 2000s was like literally with remakes that were PG-13 to appease that whole general audience that didn't want to go the gore route or go or be too scary, and they made a lot of money because the movies were really cheap or low budget. They were really low budget, high production values, young stars, and they made a lot of money for a while until torture porn came out and then ripped the Band-Aid off and people started to have a lot more gore in them. So
now. The three of us don't necessarily like this movie very much. I know we haven't heard from Kevin. He's going to convince everybody that it's good.
I'm waiting for Kevin to turn the tide.
Now, see, are you ready for my story?
Okay.
Sorry, we completely forgot.
Yeah.
I didn't forget. I was like, that's why I said this whole episode is going to be kind of everyone getting their little stories out. Yeah. And I wanted to let everyone get theirs out before I said mine.
Okay, real quick, let me just mention the ending. I only knew the other ending, the original ending. They slam into the shark, and it goes and blood is gushing out the side of its mouth, going gargle. It's very Dario Argento kind of a death, and then he breaks off the front of the ship, and I don't know how they don't sink and everything. And so I was going like,
Well, it does sink, right? I guess it does sink in the.
Oh yeah, it does. It does. Okay, yeah.
Where
And
it
then-
explodes.
Yeah. Well, okay. When the shark exploded, I was like, what? That's not how this movie ends. I was kind of looking forward to seeing the fountain of blood coming out of the side. I was going, and I didn't understand what was happening. I felt my brain had broken or something. And when it blew up, and then I was going like, well, how did it blow up? Because of the strobe light? What is going on?
It had
And
a
I
really bad
didn't-
stomach ache or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. It like got a piece of gas or something.
Yeah.
That it blew up was like so dumb. It's kind of like an airplane Zucker Brothers gag,
It
almost like
does.
I mean, it's so dumb. And then the thing is,
It does.
and then in the version I saw, Mario Van Peebles understandably dies because you see him being chomped to death and taken under the water. And when he floats up at the end, I guess they're trying to recreate like Hooper's, survival
Yeah.
because everybody liked Richard Driver so much, so they brought back. That guy is if
You
there's
cannot
any
get
part-
bitten by a shark like that and survive the way he
You
gets
Can't.
bit.
No,
There-
you can't.
I
You
don't
don't
If
know.
there's
That's
any
dumb.
part, oh my gosh, if there's
There
any
are
part of the
people who
movie,
have survived shark
okay,
attacks.
but come on, guys,
But it
come on,
cut,
guys,
it cuts, he
it's
bites him in the middle.
hilarious. It's hilarious. I'm going like, okay, even if he fell out of the guy's mouth, he goes like, "Hey, wait a minute, you're not a Brody," Puh, and everything, and then he floats back up, and everything. That guy's been almost disemboweled. He's got so much blood loss. Even if anyway, that was hilarious because it's supposed to be a happy ending, and he's just bleeding all
Yeah.
over the place. It's
Yeah,
like, they're doing
yeah.
witty banter.
Yeah,
back and
yeah.
forth.
He made it-
Like,
Then it's all assuming that
excellent.
he's going to live. There's no problem here. He's going to
You made
live.
an
We read the
excellent point,
script.
Console.
That
It's like, and they're like going like, ha ha, man, you got yourself into a real mess there. It's like, because I've been listening to you. And everything. I'm going like, what is going on? And so it's so funny that he lives, but my brain is just going, because I thought, he was one of the few people who died in this movie. And then it's like, it wraps up, and I'm going like, this is like, so god awful, and I was so angry, and I was going like, and then it was time to record, and I was going like, I gotta cool down because this is so terrible. Anyway, but thank you. Okay, so that's all I
make an
gotta
excellent-
say. I just gotta hear Kevin and share his love because I gotta know that there's goodness in the world.
All right, so I have to set the mood for you guys. Okay, John Conco, you are a fucking genius, and I'm so glad that you keep your newspaper clippings. I wish I still had mine, but I don't. I was like you, and I had the same
Right.
thing. We've discussed this before, and I had the clipping for this movie as well.
Cool.
The thing was, and everyone who's listened to the previous episodes from 1 to 3 already knows that I watched these completely out of order.
Mhm.
I saw the third one, 3D, first, not ever knowing that there was a first two that came before that. Then I saw this one, and I was hotly anticipating this one from my reactions to the third one.
Me too.
Then, through this one, sometime in the 90s, when someone actually told me there was a fucking Jaws 1 and Jaws 2, I went back and watched those. And so I do not have the same love for the first two films as I do for these two films. And the reason being is, and you guys will never ever understand this, you will never understand this because you're not an African American, is that
Okay.
these two films have an African American who do not die as the first person in the movie. And seeing these
Got it.
people, Louis Gossett Jr. in the third film, and seeing Mario Van Peebles in this film, did something for us in the 80s that no other film really did. It showed African Americans who were actually smart. Mario Van Peebles' character is not someone who just follows after Lance Guest's character.
That's
at all.
true. That's true.
He is
Okay.
not someone that follows after that. And I guarantee you the original cut that tested with audiences had Mario Van Peebles die, and people hated it. And
Yeah,
the people
that
and
was
they
part
kept,
of it.
and
Very
they brought
likable
him back
character.
to life because it was such a positive image of an African American in a film character in a horror film. That is one of the chief reasons why I've watched these movies so many times. The other thing is, I do have to admit that each one of these films had actors in it that I loved in the 80s. Dennis Quaid in the third film, Louis Gossett Jr.
Mm-hmm.
This film had Lance Guest, because I was just like you. I've seen The Last Starfighter 5 billion times in the 80s. He was one of my favorite actors. And yes, he is wooden. I know he's wooden. That's his shtick. I was perfectly fine with that. He doesn't have it. Halloween 2, Last Starfighter, this movie, that's his shtick. You can't get past that. But Michael Caine, I absolutely love. And that, as much as people like this and how much he talks down about this movie, he seems like he's having a fucking ball playing the character in this movie. It's Hoagie. He always does these things.
He's hanging out in Hawaii, so he's
hanging out, chilling, flying the plane. The dude looks like, even the most mundane scenes with Ellen Brody, he's having a ball with. Now, I will agree with you 100%. There's only 2 deaths in this movie. It doesn't feel like a Jaws movie for me. But from my perspective, I only have a Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge to reference. I don't have the first 2 growing up. I have these 2 movies growing up. And this film, for me, had enough of it, had enough horror aspects of it in it to appease me because of the dream sequences and everything else. It was later that I kind of saw the Cape Fear aspects of it. I saw that in this, and these family members are people who are being tortured by a shark. The memory of that shark, what that shark has done to the family. And yes, it is ridiculous that a shark is going to travel from New England, Maine, all the way to the fucking Bahamas. They knew that making this movie. It didn't fucking make sense. They put it in the actual plot. Great whites don't ever come out here. It's too fucking warm.
Right.
They just put it out, and you have to just agree with it. Just like Michael Caine trying to save Ellen Brody by flying this plane into the water. It's not a water plane. Why are you doing that, dude? You know?
Okay. Can you imagine, though? Because he obviously loves her, I guess, at this point, maybe. But he has a friggin' plane, and he sacrifices it for maybe. Yes. He doesn't even know she's completely going to die or anything. But he just, like, lands it in the water. I go like, dude, done.
That's
I was going like, dude, that's your livelihood.
No, but that's his character. It's set up like that because he loses money gambling, and when we see him gambling, and he's someone who takes risk all the time. Throughout the entire movie, we're seeing him take risk. It's like every other scene, he's taking risk. Yeah. Now,
there's apparently some subplots that were cut that would have made his character even more awesome. But
apparently he was a drug runner.
But stuff like that, that's kind of like stuff like that just seems to just cloud the atmosphere, because that's kind of like the Ellen Brody having an affair with the Hooper character. It just clouds the ideal of
distracts.
It distracts. So this movie starts off with a very gruesome, and you're right, this is probably the most enticing scene in the movie is the beginning, because it is very violent, and it's dark, and it's cold, and it's Christmas time when you should be happy, but you're not. And immediately after that, there's a fucking funeral. And, and so you go from that scene to the Bahamas. Why? Because it's a summer movie. They transport it from this really dark, gloomy atmosphere to a summer blockbuster movie. And what do you see in the Bahamas? You see the city, you see the people experiencing themselves, you see Michael's wife, an artist who contributes to the culture of that city. You see what they did in the original movie, which is show Amity people. And this film does the same thing with the Bahamas. I really like that. The cinematography shows it. It's a beautiful thing every time we see the city and stuff like that. It's great. And we get to see it through the eyes of someone who doesn't live there, Ellen Brody. We don't see scenes like that really with Michael. Michael's out on the sea with Mario Van Peebles. We see this through Ellen, who's never been exposed to that. That's interesting for me. And I've never been in the Bahamas, so it makes it interesting to me when I was growing up. Also, Mario Van Peebles is funny as shit in this movie. He has some of the great lines in this movie, but it's not just him. The relationships between Michael and his wife are strained. Why? Because he's hiding shit from her. He's suffering from nightmares. The same nightmares his mother is suffering from. Very similar stuff. The callbacks to the first movie, the fact that his brother just got killed by a shark. When he sees the shark the first time, he's the one that the shark is going after. It's not Mario Van Peebles. It's not anywhere else. That's where I get the whole Cape Fear thing is. This thing is torturing these two people. It is torturing them through their nightmares, through their fears, and everything like that.
Can we just pause for a second? Because already, Kevin, you're convincing me that this is a good movie.
Oh, don't worry, I'll unconvince you after you're done.
I did want to say one thing good and one thing bad. And I really like the actress that plays the wife of Karen Young's her name. I like
you mean
her.
Michael's wife.
Yeah, Michael's wife. I really like what she does, and especially when you see some of the scenes between him and her are really good. And even like she's doing the sculpture, and then they're fighting, and they're having that back and forth,
and they forget why they're fighting, like a married couple would do.
And they have these intimate scenes, which are kind of a little out of place. They're good though.
They're
and that's
awkward
the one thing,
as all get out though.
Yeah. They're not awkward. They're not awkward because
there's like the scene where she slingshots her panties at him, and she's in the bed, and it's like, I mean, this doesn't get like gratuitous, but it's like that's something. A couple would do,
Yeah, it's something with couple. But the thing is that this movie calls back to the original scene. One of my favorite scenes is the fact that Ellen Brody is watching her son do the exact same thing with his daughter as Roy Scheider does to his son in the very first film and the second film, and so it does a lot of trying to play homage to the first films. In this film,
did y'all read about
literally,
the daughter?
That's literally I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is. I didn't remember that when I first saw this. And that is the one part of this movie that actually made me enraged.
Why?
I hated that so much because it was so ham-handedly done. It is so badly executed. And Ellen Brody, it's one of those things where it's funny how, like, as I watched this, I realized just how much of a legacy sequel this is. It does all of the sins, quote unquote, of what people accuse legacy sequels of doing, which is cashing in on nostalgia and homaging or sometimes outright stealing, like this movie does in flashbacks from clips from the first movie, of cashing in on your nostalgia and your memories of the first movie. They put that scene in there at a point in the movie where they're trying. It's like this movie forgets what made that scene in the first movie interesting. First of all, that scene in the first movie where they're little, I believe Sean or Mike, Sean actually is the kid who was doing it, not Michael. And Sean was doing that. Sean was doing that. That whole bit was improvised. That's not in the script. That just happened. And Spielberg captured that magic. And it was, and we interpret it as basically a very real moment where the father's realizing the influence he's having on his kid, and he doesn't want that. And that's why he hugs him. All that is great in the first movie. You take that out of context of the first movie, you put it into this one, and it makes zero sense. It's just there just to make you remember the first movie. And that, to me, they just point that out even further by having Ellen, who, by the way, is supposed to be the main character of this movie. We've barely talked about her. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But, like, she comes in and she's, like, pointing it out to him. Like, don't you remember we used to imitate? She says that word that way. Nobody says imitate like that. That is not a thing somebody of her education level would do. She would say, copy your dad. And why? It doesn't make sense. The rest of the conversation has nothing to do with that. It's just shoehorned into there just to make you remember that part of that movie.
The scene came off at first. It was like it was kind of like, it's kind of cool, but then when she started talking about it and relating it to the first film, it was a little different. But it kind of came out as a kind of a touching,
but you know why
unexpected
that is
scene, though.
You know why that is, though, right? It's for people who don't realize that when they're watching this movie. The first movie, it's in the original Jaws, it's all new. No one knows about it. It's just something that happens. But they are purposely calling back to it. For audience members like me who probably never saw the first movie or don't remember it from the first movie. It's not, that's not bad. That's just what they do in lots of sequels.
You know what? Actually, that makes me kind of feel sorry for you, because this was your first exposure to
That's
that.
correct.
So
That's
for
correct.
you,
No, it doesn't, because I like this. I liked it the first time I saw it. I didn't get the reference until after I'd seen all of the other movies.
Of course you didn't, because so then for you, when you saw Jaws 1, this was a reference to, it's a retroactive reference for you.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
man.
when I'm watching this film
Aw.
for the first time, what I'm seeing is a mother who's seeing some type of humanity in her son to their child, his child. Like, she has left, she's still in mourning from her youngest child from the very beginning of this film, and now she's connecting again with the family she has left, who she doesn't see that often. That's what I see. And then when we don't see many scenes between the daughter and Michael in this movie, but that scene. Most of the scenes with the daughter are between her and Ellen or the mother character.
Now, I was gonna point out this. I don't know if you guys read about it. So in real life, really bad happened to the girl that plays the daughter.
Yeah,
Tell
what
me that.
happened?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us.
So
Hopefully it's not a shark.
it's pretty bad. She had her dad was very abusive, and
Aw.
there was something mentally wrong with him, and there's all kinds of like flags to it. Like the cops have called several times. He kept threatening to kill him. He told him he didn't really want her to do the movie. He wanted to kill him, and then he ended up doing like a murder suicide. He killed the mom and the girl and himself.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Probably should have told us about that.
Yeah. I was like, just somehow, like, I don't know how I ended up reading that, but it was like I was like just clicking through actors and stuff, looking at stuff, and I was like, holy
Wow.
shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's really sad.
Judith. Her name was Judith Barcy. Rest in peace. Man, I had no idea.
No, I had no idea either.
That's like poltergeist level current
Yeah.
stuff, man. That's even worse than that, though.
Heather O'Rourke and the other one, the one who died from the first movie. I can't remember fucking name.
That was
Dom-
pretty
Dominique-
bad. It
Dominique
was tragic what happened with her too, but it wasn't like this
Violent
brutality,
death.
violent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what makes it even worse is the fact that her character narrowly survives getting eaten by a shark,
Yeah.
and then this happens, and she gets
a
destroyed by
real terror.
a real
Yes.
predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like Cape Fear, I keep bringing up Cape Fear. The thing is more about the family. So when you're trying to develop a film that follows like these family dynamics and how they erode while they're being driven more or less crazy by a individual and or shark in this movie, those type of scenes really go a lot, especially with the Michael character who does not interact with his own daughter for a lot of the film. So when he is not there, when his daughter is attacked by the shark and his wife is there and their best friend is there, it is very hard. It is very traumatizing to watch the scene when he gets back there and his wife tells him that his daughter almost died and he could have prevented it by telling the truth. And then he runs off to go save his mother and leaving her to deal with the fallout. That's tragic as shit.
It is, but it doesn't.
What I was
It is,
seeing-
but it doesn't make any sense.
No,
That
what
makes
because,
perfect
like-
sense because she doesn't know about the shark. She doesn't know anything about
I
the
understand
shark.
that. I understand that, but the problem I have is not his reaction when he does. Let's rewind, because the problems this movie has are generally speaking in the first act. Because like all of the stuff that doesn't really work is generally in the first act and also in the crazy wild third. But for me, like the biggest problem I had was like in the beginning, we go back to the funeral and she's obviously in mourning, and she's also, I love the scene where she's just after the funeral, Ellen Brody is basically trying to rage cook. She's in the kitchen, she's tossing pots and pans around, and she goes to her son, her living son, Michael, and is like, I want you out of the water. Because at this point we're not even sure what he does for a living. It becomes clear later. But like she keeps being insistent, like, I want you to not go back in the water again. She want to not go back in the water again. And they have this argument where he's like, they never see a great white shark where I am. They never go that far, sir. They never go to the Bahamas. Actually, he doesn't say Bahamas, but
not yet.
But he's insistent about it. He's so insistent about it. And the very freaking next scene, they're walking along in the bright sunshine, and he's like, why don't you come down with us? And she's like, okay, come on. I mean, come on. That whole bit let's see, your mom is saying get out of the water. What's the solution to that problem? What's going to get her mind off of all this death and stuff surrounding the water? Let's take her to an island.
Well,
Instead of taking her out of a coastal town that at least has land on one side of it, let's bring her to an island surrounded by water. It would have made much more sense if they had just stuck to maybe one of the rejected ideas from Jaws 3, which was, let's have Lance Guest be some guy who works with, wildlife in the mountains. Let's take you to Montana or the Great Lakes. That would have been even better. Take her to the Great Lakes, to a cabin in the woods in the Great Lakes, and have the sharks swim up a river to the Great Lakes, which also would have been ludicrous, but at least at this point, it would have made sense for them to take her there and not to the friggin' Bahamas.
All I'm hearing is this movie could have been so much worse.
Well, no, because I think Thomas is missing the point. This is still a summer blockbuster movie.
What, you can't have summers in the freaking mountains in Montana or in the Great Lakes? People do it all the time.
That doesn't make for a summer blockbuster movie. That's why it goes to the Bahamas where it's sunny. And it's released in July. Yeah. Despite the fact that it does take place during Christmas at the very beginning, it switches the locale to the Bahamas for a reason.
Okay, so I think what I'm getting here though is what you're hitting on here though, Kevin, is a good thing about the movie. Okay, Lance Guest. And it is so much like Cape Fear. That scene actually is pretty good when he has to come and say like, "Oh yeah, I kind of knew about this shark," and she's like so pissed. It's like, "Where are you going?" And you're saying that's traumatizing. I was like, when he left, I was going like, "Oh man, they're getting a divorce, dude."
That's what I would. Yeah, that's what I would think. They're getting freaking divorced. Because there's no reason for him to keep that secret from her. Because at the very beginning, he was gonna not do this. He had a human reaction when he saw that shark. He's like, "Oh, we better stop." But then freaking Mario Van Peebles, not his dad Melvin, but I want to call him MVP from here on in because he's a great guy. He's the most valuable player, and MVP just kind of keeps me, not confusing him for one or each other. So MVP, he's the guy who convinces him to do this. He's like, "Hey, we got to." I'm not even gonna bother with the accent. The accent's ridiculous, and I'm not gonna be like cancelable from doing the accent. But anyway, he's supposed to be.
Damn, I was hoping you're gonna do it.
He's supposed to be.
He probably shouldn't try that one. He probably
no. I'm not gonna. Try
he's got a Jamaican accent.
No. Yeah. But no. But his accent's so ridiculous. But anyway, just Google it and listen to it. But anyway,
I thought it sounded pretty. I was kind of convinced by it. I don't know.
But anyway. He's the guy who says, "No, we can make so much more money if we study a great white in the Bahamas. We can study real things instead of just snails." And I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing, but here's my problem. Why it doesn't make any freaking logical sense for you to be trying to pull this, to seduce this guy into this quest. This guy. The character you are talking to, Michael freaking Brody. All I'm thinking of when he's doing this is, and I wrote it in big letters on my imaginary notepad that I didn't actually have with me. Does he know? Question mark.
Does he know what?
Mario Van Peebles. Does he know? Does he know that Michael Brody and his family were attacked by a man-eating shark in 1977? Does he know? This guy has a professional and personal relationship with this guy that goes back years. They're trying to get their doctorate together, which says to me they went to school together. He went to not medical school, but like science school or marine biologist school. That's got to be like 8 years. And 8 years, Michael, you never told this guy once about the single most traumatic thing that happened to you in your childhood? Why is Mario Van Peebles trying to convince you he would never do that in real life at all. Even in a movie, he wouldn't do that. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What kind of monster do you have to be to try and convince your friend to go out there to fight this, or not fight, but like study the thing that tried. The big monster that you're afraid of.
That's easy to explain, dude.
Yeah.
Number one. The only shark attack that he's probably been told is the one of Sean being killed by a shark. Like I said, this is more referencing the first film and not like the second or third film. It almost completely ignores that. And you got to remember that Michael doesn't believe that there's a shark that's coming after them like his mother does. It takes him a while to kind of see that. That's why he's having the nightmares. He just thinks it's a random incident. Why would he think there's any type of supernatural element to a shark coming out after him and his family like his mother believes? He just thinks the town that he lived in had a shark attack. And then his brother was killed by another great white, which is where they would be anyways, which is with Amity. But in the Bahamas, where they're not naturally there.
Well,
I think you're making my case for me, Kevin. Because first of all, I'm not talking about the stuff from the second movie. I'm not even talking about any of that.
No, but you're like thinking that he's gonna reveal all these traumatizing things that happened to his town when he was a kid and all that type of stuff. I think that if it was just his brother getting killed by a shark, that would be the only thing he'd tell him. Why would he need to go into this details about all of his entire life growing up as a kid?
But that's what I mean by you're making my case for me. That alone should be enough. That alone should be enough for MVP not to, as his friend, drag his friend into this expedition for a creature that has so much trauma behind it. Come on.
All right, I got a couple of things on it. Now this now
can I just say
I said Conkle. I said
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There is a second scene later in the film where it's the reverse, where Michael wants to go and keep working on it, and Mario Van Peebles' character tries to talk him out of it.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
they do reverse that, and it makes that's the character stuff this director is really good at doing. But it is, I mean, and I think that the Michael character in many ways is treating this like therapy, even though it's a very frustrating process.
In that scene, that's what he's doing that for. He's basically saying, like, if I don't get into the water, what kind of marine biologist am I? It's like it's not the voice he does it in, but it's the way it comes off.
No. I was rolling my eyes at that shit too, but it's very like, it's very like shit. I'm losing words on this, but it's very like you said, ham-fisted earlier. It's not really ham-fisted, but it's very on the nose. That's what I was starting to get.
It is a lot of it. It is, and a lot of the dialogue in this movie is like that. Like I haven't heard a lot of just on the nose and choppy dialogue like this in a good long while. I wish I'd had the presence of mind to write down all of it, but I just did not at 2:00 in the morning.
All right, before I come to Kevin's. I'm on Kevin's side now. I think this is a good movie.
Team Kevin. We got Team Kevin and Team Watkins over here.
I'm on team. He's convinced me. All right. This is good therapy. This is good therapy. All right. I'm learning to make peace with my past. Learning to accept things I can't change. What the best piece of dialogue was at the very beginning. The good part of the movie was oh, your father was the tomato thief king or something like that. And I was going like, oh, that's so cornball. Anyway, I can picture Roy Schneider sneaking tomatoes out of the salad and her getting mad at it. I'm going,
they're going to call him that. They're going to nickname him that shit.
That's right. Oh, that's right. He was the world famous tomato thief. Anyway, but no. Well, from taking on Kevin's defense, I really like the. I get like. He's a marine biologist, and Mario Van Peebles is a marine biologist. They are scientists who know all about this stuff, so they don't fear a great white. I mean, yes, his brother just got killed by a great white. That's the wacky part here. Okay, yes, it's wacky, but here we've got this added thing of economic pressure, and I think that these grad students, these people who are trying to like be scientists, those guys, they live hand to mouth. There is no money in science and art and stuff. You are begging for scraps to get funding. And so this guy's got a family. The MVP, he's got like a serious girl. They probably want to start a family. I'm just projecting here, and I'm just going like, these guys are under the gun to produce and be economically viable and be good providers. So they do see. I really like what you said, Kevin, where really Mario Van Peebles is calling the shots in this movie. And he's telling Lance Guest what we're going to do. And then Lance Guest is kind of like more like the secondary buddy character, Mario Van Peebles comes up with the tracker, comes up with the shocker, puts himself on the line to come out and stab the guy, puts himself on the line to climb out on the mast.
Yeah, which I thought was a really dumb fucking move.
Oh, yeah, well, sure. But if you're a marine biologist, you would never have guessed that the shark was going to come up and stand on its tail and hop around and get shit like that.
And what thing, like Ellen Brody takes the boat and leaves like that, and then it's like the shark suddenly the shark I don't think the shark cares that much about Mike Brody because he has the opportunity to get him a few times and he's just kind of playing with him. But Ellen Brody, he's madder than hell. He just comes and busts into the boat because he could have busted into that barge boat that Mario Van Peebles and Mike had the whole time, but now he sees her and that's what he wants.
Well, the shark only goes after Michael when he's in the submersible. And then, of course, when he goes into the derelict ship, the shark tries his damnedest to get after Michael, but Michael's smart enough to use the air tank to escape as fast as he could.
But once he gets out of the water, though, and he's on that barge thing with the shark, seeing what he could do later, he could have taken them out, but he was just, I don't know, he wasn't as interested in them because he could have busted that barge shit up.
Probably. Yeah, that thing was barely seaworthy. He could have destroyed that thing. But I was thinking I will say, speaking of the dialogue, as we're going back over, I do think some of the best dialogue in terms of not what was said, but how it is said, because I do find a lot of the stuff just comes off very stilted. But the MVP stuff does come out, even though the accent's ridiculous. All of the stuff that they do together, all the things they say, and the way the back and forth does play very natural. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, according to IMDb, Mario Van Peebles, MVP, wrote his own dialogue. All those scenes are written by Mario Van Peebles. And of course, the man is a great writer. He has many credits to his name. And you know what? If your script isn't working, you could do so much worse than have Mario Van Peebles rewrite the whole thing for you, which is what happened.
Yeah, so, it's good the director let him do that. Some directors wouldn't, but it's good he let him do it because it makes it better. I guarantee you they're
trying to get more of the feeling of the Bahamas and the people in the Bahamas to give it more authenticity.
Yeah, he probably let him. Yeah, he probably let him do it because he was doing that accent and stuff and was trying to talk like a Jamaicans.
But like I said, and Conkle can attest to me, like I said, Marvel and Peoples is the one in charge of this ship. It's his ship, it's his crew. He's the one that instigated the grant for everything. Lance guesses Michael is just kind of following along. So if Mario Van Peebles' character wants to go after a shark that makes them more money because they know that the conch thing isn't going to lead them to anything, then they're going to do it. Like you want to say that it's ridiculous for them to do this, but if you, like Uncle said, if you're working in that atmosphere, working hand to fist every fucking month, and you have an opportunity, you take it. But he does suffer from taking it. He keeps it a secret. He doesn't have to keep it a secret from his wife. But he keeps it a secret from everybody because either he's fearful or he's ashamed or he's a little bit of everything. And that's why the nightmares come into play, because his wife sees that he is suffering. He can't sleep. He's not acting normally. She sees it, but he won't admit to what's going on with him, which leads to the little fight that they have in the shed when they have an argument, but then they can't remember why they're arguing. Those
Yeah.
those are all things that add up to the fact that, you know, the Lance character, Michael, is suffering from multiple different things. So when he goes into the submersible, he is trying to overcome what little fear he actually has, because he is a marine biologist. He can't do his job if he can't get in the water. He's letting his mother actually dictate from there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's worried. I think he's worried too that if he lets the fear from his brother being killed, if he lets that stew too much, he won't ever go back in the water. So he's trying to. I do like that scene in the barn that you're talking about. I do like when the wife's got the friggin' torch and she's working on that welding thing. Just seeing her doing that, it just really puts
hot.
it. Yeah.
Oh, and we have that.
And
we have that.
Something about that is hot. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just seeing her working.
It's almost a trope. I remember that was in Final Destination. It's like the chick who makes, like, you know, wrought iron art, and you know, it's got the goggles. Yeah, there's something really attractive about that.
I think that probably comes from, and I see that they did that again in like Highlander, like the series. But I feel like that may be some kind of weird sort of thing, sort of like diffusion of like Flashdance. I think maybe that's where that comes
I never thought that would ever get mentioned in our podcast, Flashdance.
That's right.
But
what a feeling! But
I will say that the art that she's crafting when we first see it from the silhouette is like the mouth of a shark.
Yeah,
Then
I noticed
the next
that.
time we see it, it is unveiled on the beach as part of the cultural festival that's going on.
It looks pretty good too.
It looks really good. Those things like that, and I like seeing the town, the people in the Bahamas. You have I guess I won't call him the president, the mayor, or whatever the hell he is, giving that nice speech before he presents the artwork to the whole city and stuff like that. Like, we're presenting you something that looks like a big ass fucking shark, and then 5 minutes later, the shark actually shows up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it doesn't really look that much like a shark jaw. Maybe
it's not supposed to. It's the silhouette when it's first shown.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I agree. And I love that framing. It is one of the few times in this movie where this movie is actually subtle, and I like that. The problem is like, I don't think it looks like a Jaws when it's finished and painted and put on display, which is fine too, because it wasn't finished when you first saw it. That makes sense.
No.
But it is cool. It is a thing. It is a cool thing, although it's not my particular kind of art. I'm not the sort of person who likes that sort of 3D art. I much prefer like more classical
abstract
stuff.
Abstract or cubism. I couldn't, without seeing the entire thing, I can't really see if it's abstract or cubism type.
Yeah, me neither.
Can I say this is something I find it really interesting about your take, Kevin, also, or just like the fact that I saw this movie so many times growing up, and you saw it so many times growing up. It's very interesting to me that though we were horror movie people, Kevin, you got so much out of a movie that is basically about, you know, a grandma mourning the death of her family, trying to find love in distraction, or, you know, maybe not love, but, you know, rekindling old romantic feelings in the Bahamas. Forget all the shark stuff. I mean, it's really interesting. That's really the bulk of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, that's 60 minutes of the movie. The shark stuff is like 30 minutes. You know,
once the shark stuff started back up, it was like I'd almost forgotten it was a shark movie for a little while, and it was like all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, now we got to do something. I guess.
What I find interesting is just that Kevin, or even, you know, me watched. I saw it so many times, and it's really barely a horror movie. It's just interesting that you got so much out of the character work with it at an age of 11, 12, 13, where, you know, you would think, you know, nowadays I think if it's not paced like a Michael Bay Transformer movie, I think people at 12 and 13 would not. I don't know if kids nowadays, with all the entertainment choices, would sit and watch a movie about a widow finding love with Michael Caine in the Bahamas. You know,
we watched it and just like we were just like, where's the shark? You know,
that never occurred to me when I was watching this as a kid. Though,
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember even thinking about it though. Like,
No, I never questioned why there wasn't that many kills in this film growing up. What I said, and the reason why I say I like the third one so much is because of the actors that were in the film.
Right.
I watched it so many times because of the actors in the film. Now, every time you watch a film, you learn something more, you gain something more out of it. The more I watched the film, I saw more and more of it. That's because at I don't know how old do you have to be when you're in fifth grade. When was fifth grade?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that would be like 14, 13, 14.
No.
My kid's
So-
14 and she's in 14 and she's in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So.
It's like 12. It's like 11 or 12 is what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 11 and 12,
So
you're right.
in fifth grade is when I started to think critically about stuff like this. And that was because of my teacher. My teacher had me, one of my classes was to write. And one of the first things I did was I plagiarized the movie DOA because that year, DOA was one of the greatest movies ever with Dennis Quaid. And so the first thing I did was plagiarize that as my first writing assignment. My teacher didn't even realize that shit because he hadn't seen the movie. I had just seen the movie. I fucking plagiarized the shit out of it. Wrote something almost exactly the same fucking
He was
thing.
like, brilliant.
But the thing was, it started making me think about film in a different way. And from then on, I started to think like that from every movie I saw. And by watching movies like Jaws 3D and Jaws the Revenge over and over and over again to be a better storyteller, I started to see these types of things in them, regardless if they didn't have enough kills in them. Because for me, in the 80s and 90s, I really wasn't into the kills as much as I was when I realized they weren't there anymore in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right,
you know,
right.
it's not even the kills though that for me that makes it. It's just the fact that the shark goes from Amity to friggin' the
But see,
Bahamas.
that never bothered me. That bothered people. Guarantee you, there was half the people that bothered for because they wanted to put logic to it. I was like, who fucking cares what the logic is?
But I mean, I don't care about logic that much. But when you try to be so serious with a movie and do so much work with the characters, and then the main part of the movie doesn't make sense, it's kind of like it's two clashing ideas. That are
It's
just kind of bumping up
it's
against
built on
each
a
other.
real shaky foundation. Like the premise is so shaky, you know. But I think yes, Kevin, I think the things you enjoy are like the good things about it. But the base concept of them trying to make, you know, the shark is coming after just them. Had they. And there's no explanation. I mean, I think it's pretty funny because when Mario is in the submersible, the shark comes right up inside and looks inside.
Yeah.
No, that ain't one of them.
Yeah, that's what it does.
Yeah,
I will tell you that the shark gets bored at one part though. The banana boat, because it comes out to get the daughter, and it doesn't, and not able to get the daughter. And it's like, all right, screw it, I'm going to bite off this lady's leg.
I skipped lunch. I'm just going to eat something.
Yeah, some random poor girl that we we have no relationship with.
Yeah, I feel like that's the studio made them do that scene though more than anything.
Yeah,
I feel like it was like this scene does not make sense. That scene does not make sense in the story that they're trying to tell. That shark is targeting the Brodies when it just goes ahead and snags that one leg. You know.
Yeah. I will disagree with that. You're trying to watch a film in which the shark goes all the way back inland to go after the daughter, then make its way back. Or actually, it goes. It's after Michael and them first, and then after it's done with Michael, it goes all the way back inland to get after the daughter. Then it makes its way back outland again.
The shark knew the shark knew they were building that statue.
I'm not trying to make logic out of where that is. That would destroy like 90% of the movies out there.
Oh, it'd be more than 90%.
No, Kevin, you're about to go into why did Jason go upstairs in the dugout?
Exactly. It does. Once you're in that world, trying to figure out how Jason or the shark gets back and forth is like, we don't pay attention to that. It doesn't really matter because most of the time with Jason, we're watching a lot of great kills. The thing that this film lacks is the ideal of a lot of kills. I'm not denying that. At all. What I'm saying is that for me, that wasn't an issue with it back in the 80s when I saw the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like even now when I rewatch the film, the thing about the lack of kills here is the same issue I have with the second film, where you have a whole shit ton of young people and the shark just follows them.
Yeah.
They and so when you put that in perspective, it kind of says, oh, wow, the shark goes after whoever the fuck it wants to, and it lets people go whenever it wants to. So it not killing certain people, or it's killing, like, lots of people, doesn't bother me. It's never bothered me, and it still doesn't bother me, even though people are talked down on this movie so much for the lack of kills and everything else. And I'm like, and the second movie has a shit ton of kills as well?
Well,
I think the reason why this movie is looked down upon so much is because it has too much to live up to. Nothing can live up to the original Jaws. Nothing. It's like the Exorcist sequels. Nothing can live up to the It doesn't matter how good a movie you make coming afterwards. It will never live up to those films. And I think one of the few people who actually has done it successfully for a couple films may be George Romero, where Dawn of the Dead is considered superior to Night of the Living Dead.
And George James Cameron with Aliens, where he completely changed the genre of it and did it much better. They should have done that with Jaws and have Jaws Zez. It would have been multiple sharks and made it an action movie instead or something. I don't know.
But the thing is, back in the 80s, like the Aliens and James Cameron is like, that's a whole, that's like a diamond in the rough type of thing. What you mostly saw in the 80s was a lot of sequels that did the same thing that came before. Now, this film is trying to be more closer to the original film than it is to the last film, Jaws 3D, which was literally a amusement park ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that at least was something different from the first movie.
Yes,
if anything.
But it was also criticized a lot too. Even
though
it was
really bad critical like stuff on the
exactly. Yes,
and they gave it shit about that for some reason, even though it made money.
I mean.
But it's like,
I mean, honestly, like when we watched Jaws 3, I was like, this is a great idea. That the idea for Jaws 3 is not the problem. The execution of Jaws 3 was the problem. This movie is a terrible idea with sometimes an okay execution.
I think the ideal is fine. With the ideal of having a shark who goes after family members associated with the original film is a really cool idea that's never been done before. It's never been done before. It's all kind of random with shark movies, even now.
It hasn't been done since, and there's a reason for that.
Well, I think Kevin, it's like if you buy the premise, this movie is a lot easier, to swallow and everything. But
and that's for any movie.
Absolutely.
If you buy into the premise, then you're perfectly fine.
It either bothers you or it
doesn't bother you. You buy it. Right. If you're watching The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the 8th Dimension, you have to buy into that fucking concept.
Absolutely.
If you cannot buy into it, it's a horrible movie. Horrible.
What if they did the voodoo thing? I think audience probably would have hated that shit unless they went completely bonkers with it.
I think the idea of the voodoo thing probably was about as far-fetched as, the concept for the third film. And they tried to pull it back. It's kind of like Alien 3. The concept and the original ideal is to pull it back to what was made the first film so popular. It was a small crew. It was one alien. It was dark. It was dingy. That was the impetus to doing Alien 3 the way they did. No weapons. It didn't work because most people wanted to see fucking Aliens Part 2.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is kind of like as far as franchises go, I feel like this represents the thing that happens in almost every franchise if they go on for long enough, which is either A, the legacy sequel, which we've already established. This was that before it was cool.
The proto.
Or C, or proto. B, proto, the proto legacy sequel. Or B, this is the Back to Basics sequel.
Yes.
Kind of does that a little bit too.
Yeah, it's the Back to Basics sequels. And the thing is, I can only say that now because I started off with Part 3 and then watched this one. So even though this one is not as fun as Part 3 is, I get a lot of mileage out of this movie with Mario Van Peebles, and because for me, he is more or less the unequivocal star, and
Agreed.
Michael Caine, who like the two of my favorite actors, are the stars of this movie. If you don't like either one of those actors, and even Michael Caine has said he only did this movie to pay off his house for his mother, I believe. You have to buy into the concept. As great an actor as Michael Caine is, it doesn't matter if he's in a bad movie, he's still going to give a fucking great performance.
Speaking of Michael Caine, did any one of you, when he was first doing, because this guy his character has a shtick, which is that he's always telling obviously fake stories about him having adventures in the Amazon or something.
Yeah.
And did you guys, when he first does that in this movie, when he started talking about, when I was down in none of I done, looking down in the Amazon, I was trapped. Did you have a flash in your brain of that great scene of him as Alfred in The Dark Knight, where he's like, down in Burma, my friends of mine were going down to the jungle, and we found this warlord. We're trying to hunt him down, and we found all these rubies just flying around, just like tossing them out like paperweights, and nobody ever traded them. Did you think about that scene? Because I did.
No, after watching all four movies, I kind of got the ideal that they wanted a character to kind of harken back to Robert Shaw's character who tells stories about the past. And but I think Michael Caine sounds like he's improvising a lot of those because they're so fresh when he says them. They're so like off the cuff sometimes that they're like that. And that's the same thing I have with Mario Van Peebles in this film. You say he improvised a lot, he wrote a lot of shit. Yeah, some of that shit's some great shit. Same with Michael Caine. It's just great. Yeah. Is that shark stuff? No. Is it character stuff? Yes. It is.
An MVP. And let's something that shocked me a little bit. MVP is the guy who drops the one F-bomb in this movie, which apparently was just starting to be a thing. Is that you get one F-bomb per PG-13.
Yeah. They always stood out too when that F-bomb happened. It was just like you knew it.
You're like, oh,
that was it. That was it, guys.
That was the one, So, but I think I've kind of, unless you have a question about my interpretation and my ideals behind the film, I know some of you will like I said before when I started this, some of you will never get it. You won't get it. You're not African American. You won't ever get it. You may be able to try and understand it, but you won't ever get it because you weren't in the 80s watching this film as an African American. You will not get it. I'm sorry.
As a 12-year-old,
You're assuming, Kevin.
No, I'm not assuming. I'm not assuming anything. I know you won't get it.
I was a 12-year-old black child.
How do you know we weren't African American at that point?
Did he not grow up as a poor black child?
Have you seen pictures of us at that age?
It's not about that. It's about watching horror films in the 80s and never seeing anything but African Americans get killed as the first person on screen. Yeah. It became a fucking joke later on that people told over and over again.
It's weird. It's weird the way it kind of devolved to that too. When it went from like Night of the Living Dead with the main character.
Yeah, 68.
I mean, in 68, and then suddenly it's like that was the deal. It's like how did it change like that?
But the thing about Night of the Living Dead though is that Dwayne Jones doesn't die to the very end of the movie. He makes it when everybody else has died.
Well, that's what we're saying. He got through. I mean, it became a cliche later.
Yeah. He wasn't the first one to die, which became the cliche, because that was because in the 80s, there was almost no films with African Americans in it, much less one that survived being not killed as a first or second person, dude. That's what we saw. That's what I saw on the screen. But Jaws 3 and Jaws the Revenge did not do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mario Van Peebles is and Louis Gossett Jr. are two of the strongest characters in the film. Both films. They are at the highest of positions. Louis Gossett Jr. is running the theme park in the third film. Mario Van Peebles is the one in charge in the Revenge. That is what you did not see in horror.
I think that's what's kind of cool about horror movies is they're not prestige. Because if this was a prestige film, that would be the point of the movie. Look, a black man is being represented, and we've ask the
Yeah.
Academy to
Yeah.
consider.
They say
this,
that now.
You know,
Back
They say
then,
that
it
now.
was-
yeah.
it was just like,
But
yeah.
these horror movies kind of fly under the radar, and sometimes they pick up or they can do like something and not make it like, oh, look at us, pat ourselves on the back. They're just doing it organically. You know,
Yeah.
they're a little bit more.
And I even say it even worked up into the 90s and the 2000s with Wes Craven, who did a fucking fantastic job with People Under the Stairs. But in Scream, there ain't no black people in Scream. But you know what dies? Who dies at the beginning of the second one? The two black people. But that's funny, and he's making a comment on it, and it works in that movie extremely well. But he kind of realizes that shit. Like, there's none in the first movie. There's none. And that's 96 or 98, and we were still seeing it in the 90s. That's what we saw as African Americans. We were still seeing that shit, dude. And it's painful to.
I remember seeing H2O in the theater, and when LL Cool J like lived, the crowd exploded in cheers.
It was the same with Deep Blue Sea. It was the same
Deep Blue Sea,
dude.
He
cheered.
It's amazing that he didn't get more movies, because man, the reactions when he would survive in one of these horror movies, I mean, people would just, the women love.
Well, yeah, that's a testament to LL Cool J for like that's testament to his charisma as a performer.
Van Peoples. It's charisma. I'm actually glad to hear that, you know, he had a hand in rewriting a lot of his dialogue, and that's why it pops. Because you're right, he writes a lot of great shit, and he's a director. He's a writer and an actor. So, you know, that's why it's my illusion that Michael Caine did the same thing, because his shit just pops off. Even I don't know what he was on, but like I said, it seems like he's enjoying the only person in this film that doesn't seem to be enjoying her time on this film that much is Lauren Gray, who just seems to be
but then again, she is asked to be miserable a great deal.
She is
in this movie,
but she has some great scenes with Michael Caine. She has some great scenes with Michael Caine.
Well, and apparently she came out of retirement to do this movie. And then that was it. She was done again. Yeah. And this is what she does.
Well, she probably like, I'm not doing that
biggest of all the movies you get to actually kind of like understand the character a little bit, because in the other movies she's kind of a side character for the most part. Character. But even here though, I didn't think the character is that interesting to me.
No, I know. And I have to ask you a question. I have to ask you all a question regarding her. I was hoping the first time I didn't really have this thought the first time I saw it. I definitely did the second time. I kind of hoped that this would be the thing that happens in most legacy sequels, where it's a female character, that she becomes kind of a hardened, almost like Sarah Connor or a Ellen Ripley type thing, where she just goes on the war path to kill this friggin' shark. And you kind of get that when she sees the shark almost kill her 5-year-old granddaughter, who really by all rights should have been fish meat for the shark. It should have happened. It didn't. Because that would motivate better, I think. What
you got
she
distracted
does,
by that other leg on the banana boat.
I guess,
They didn't want to show a kid get killed, dude.
But it
wasn't the other Jaws, the first Jaws.
But it wasn't her kid. But anyway, what she does, though, my question is, when she gets on, she goes and basically steals Michael's boat and goes off into the open water to confront the shark. She has no plan. What do y'all think her plan was? Because to me, it sounds like she was going on a suicide mission. When she stares, okay, we're agreed. And she stares into the water, sees the fin coming, and says, "Come and get me, you son of a bitch." She wants to get eaten by this shark.
Here's my problem with that. Is that to me, it seems like the character thinks her going out there and sacrificing herself is going to save everybody else. But why would the shark just stop? At her,
exactly.
You know,
no, her thoughts from the very beginning of the movie is that the shark is coming for them. She's thinking that if she sacrifices herself, she can save everyone else.
Well, that shark's still going to be hungry.
Yeah, he's going to try and eat Michael too. And also, now that I think about it, and also, what makes her think that even after they've killed it again, because there's no indication in the dialogue that she doesn't not think that this is in fact the first shark that's somehow resurrected. Surely Brody would have told his wife, "Yeah, I shot that son of a bitch I shot the thing and I blew his freaking head off." And yet somehow she thinks it's back. There's never a dialogue that says, "Oh, well, this is a female great white. It must have been the mate of the first shark. I would have bought that." But no, they never make that. So there's nothing. So they do the exact same thing.
The shark
in the version y'all saw.
It regenerates, you know.
That's
What,
just
yeah,
something
so
they
there's
don't
nothing.
explain.
Well, my point is this: after that's all said and done, there's no indication that they really did anything except postpone its inevitable revenge on her great grandchildren, or that it's going to come back in 10 more years. There's no
They
finality
got to stay out of the
to
water.
it.
They really got to stay out of the water.
No,
you know?
if the movie had been successful, they would
Yeah,
have made another
That's a,
sequel.
yeah.
Exactly,
Right,
exactly. And what would have helped, I think, is if they had just come up with a slightly different, better death for it. Like, you know, I mean, let's run through the gamut here. The shark has been exploded. The shark has been electrocuted. The shark has been exploded again, which I think that was Jaws 3. They exploded it again.
Blew it up.
So it's been exploded 3 times.
It was a grenade in Jaws 3, which is kind of cool. But
It's still exploded. Yeah, it's still
yeah.
exploded. So, like, what other ways could they have possibly killed the great white? I think it might have been cooler now that I think about it.
I think the easiest thing is to blow it up.
They shot it differently to begin with, but it didn't work. So they're like, "Screw it, we'll go back to blowing it up."
Yeah, or I mean, you could have had like Michael Caine try and fly his plane kamikaze style into the shark and rip it to pieces, and the plane explodes, and that would have been cool.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching it this time. I was going like, "Oh, it'd be really cool if he came down and used those propellers that when he went to chop it up,
Yeah,
and everything." Yeah,
that would have been
cool.
Gnarly. Yeah. But by the way, Michael Caine, when the shark is going for him, has the best, "oh crap" line in the history of cinema because of how he says it in such a way like, "Oh, he just realized he lost his keys," and he's looking at the freaking shark like, "Oh shit," and it's like. Yeah. It's so dumb, but like it's not a good acting choice, but it's so that makes me laugh so hard when I think about it. Well, not right now because I've thought about it too much. But yeah, they should have done it differently. I feel like you could do it, but don't literally recycle footage of it from the first movie. Ugh.
I think
Michael Caine says something pretty funny near the end. That I think is good. But with the start, they're looking at the heartbeat monitor, and the shark stops. And he says, he's like, maybe it had a heart attack or too much food.
Yes.
Humans are full of cholesterol, So it's like,
because what they're trying to do is they're trying to science it to death, which is cool. It's a good idea. But the way that they're trying to science it to death makes zero sense to me. Because what Van Peebles is doing is like he's making some kind of electrical charge thing. And he's like, we're gonna put it in his mouth. And we're going to use the electrical charge because it is a known fact that sharks navigate through like sensing electrical charges. All right. We know this. It's science. And if we can put those electrical charges inside its brain, he says, and I quote, "we'll drive it crazy." Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I like where you're going here. I just don't like your conclusion. Here's why. You have a man-eating shark on your hand. You have a man-eating shark that roars like a freaking lion. You have a man-eating shark that can make itself jump up 15 feet in the air. Why are you trying to make this thing even more agitated?
No, I didn't get the point, but
there is no point.
But I like that he had an idea.
Yeah, he made a gadget. He's like, we got a gadget. We got a half-assed solution.
I mean, Lance Guess isn't coming up with nothing. I got to come up with something.
But that thing even malfunctions. He gets it out there and it's on him, and his controls like not working.
Yeah, they're always saying like, "Man, your gear crapped out. My gear never craps out. I crapped out again." Yeah. Well, I think the shark is just somehow turning it on and off or something. But here's the thing about Ellen Brody's character. I think she just needs therapy because she's manic. She's like, I mean, and it's really interesting. Lance Guest, he's not telling anybody about the great white shark because he is so used to like regulating his mother's emotions because she is a handful. Okay, I mean, yes, her son's just died, but you get like the rage cooking thing. I mean, this is stuff, and like her going into like a fugue state to go dance in the play. She's just like so and manic and sad and has not processed. I mean, I think we're in a very therapy state of mind these days. You know, just and therapy's okay now. You know, but back in '87, people didn't go to therapy to process their emotions and everything. And she is suffering, and Lance Guest is like suffering to like keep her cool. You know, I've got to keep my mother at a level state, so I'm not going to rock the boat. I'm just like going to trying to deal with her, watching her grind herself apart.
Yeah,
you know.
You bring up one of the aspects that we didn't talk about, that which I really loved about the film, is the fact that you are absolutely right. You know, Michael's trying to keep his mother sane and level throughout the whole movie, and which is why he dislikes Hoagie so much. He doesn't understand why Hoagie hangs around, why his mother likes Hoagie, why any of that. And Hoagie is this carefree guy who has kind of picked her out of the lineup, because you hear that he's had many other girls all over the island, and it's almost like a project for him. You see it in the dialogue that the two have. It's like a project for him, and so that's her therapy without going to a therapist. Because you're right, people didn't go to therapy back then.
It's like the movie should be called How Ellen Got Her Groove Back.
Well, but the thing is, I think that works for the character through the film. I do think that that's one of the bad things about the ending, though, when she decides that she's going to go out and sacrifice herself for her family. I was like, if you come back from that state where you were so depressed, to Hoagie being that almost little bit of guiding light, to go out there and sacrifice yourself, it's a really fast jump, because it goes simply from her seeing her granddaughter almost get killed by the shark to her going out there without getting an explanation or anything by Michael. Like, I don't think missing a scene there.
I think she's like, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, it's missing a scene there where she kind of has to have that coming to terms moment with some other character, but she doesn't. She just, because of time crunch and everything else, which is how I kind of place it, she just goes out there. When the more logical thing would be, stop, talk with your son.
She wouldn't have gone out there though.
She wouldn't have gone out there, exactly. Yeah. Which is why, you know, I've always, the Ellen character is the one character I've already said is like, she's supposed to be the main character, but she's not the most interesting character out of the bunch.
No,
the only scenes that she's good in are the ones with Michael Caine. Michael Caine brings out stuff in that character that would not make her interesting otherwise.
I think it's like weird the way she thinks that going out there, her whole thing is protecting her family.
Yeah.
But for some reason she thinks it's going to work. And for me, it's like, why do you think that's going to work? There's just no reason to think that. And it's like, there's no explanation of why she would think that going out there and sacrificing herself is going to save her family. She's not necessarily suicidal. She's being a hero.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, she's trying to be a hero, maybe, but not suicidal. Yeah. But Michael would see her as suicidal. That's why he rushes out without actually consoling his wife.
He's like this stupid woman, you know. We gotta have to save her.
I mean, in the very least, I would have liked to have seen her like take 2 seconds to think and like grab some propane tanks and stick them in the boat, thinking I'm gonna suicide bomb myself when the shark jumps on me. Click, boom. That would have worked for me. That would have made sense.
But I mean, she redeems herself at the end where she drives the boat and like to get away from me, Hoagie. I'm this. She drives the boat into the
or a more extreme ideal behind Ellen Brody in that last act is the shark being her great white whale that she's going after.
Well,
that would be the more extreme look. She will do anything and sacrifice anything to kill the shark.
Thomas was right though. The girl needed to die, the little girl, for her reaction to work. Without the little girl dying, it doesn't work because her initial reaction is stay out of the water, which still works. But like the little girl's dead, then there's no staying out of the water anymore. It's like kill the shark.
Yeah, because at that point, it's not about saving your family anymore. At that point, it's just Ellen wants revenge. You know, that could be.
I think it's. Bit of both.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit of both, but I suppose like it could have been so much better. But like what I was gonna all this talk about the climax, not the ending, but the climax reminded me of something that weirded me out a bit. Which is that this movie has this weird thing that I guess a lot of legacy sequels do this. Actually, I saw this. They do this a lot in the Happy Gilmore sequel, where they will literally just take clips from the first movie and pretend like they're flashbacks as a way to explain or refresh your memory about things from a movie that you saw 20, 30, or 40 years ago. They do that in this movie.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do that. Like she has flashbacks to things that she would not have been privy to.
Oh, she
has
knew it.
Flashbacks to things that she was
he
not
probably
there
told
for.
that story so often.
He was like telling his own story. He was like, I said, smile, you son of a bitch. And then the shark blew up.
We know. You said smile, you son of a bitch. We know.
Yeah.
But on top of that, though, she has a flashback. She has a flashback to earlier in this movie, where she has a flashback to Sean getting eaten, or him in the boat.
Yeah.
And she's having a roll call of the victims in her brain. But again, she was not there for that. She was not privy to that
the audience
event.
was there, though.
Yeah, the audience was there.
I know, but
you're picking on. Yeah, but you're picking on something that like all the movies do when they do those little flashbacks. That's more for the audience than it is for the character. There's no indication that the character itself is seeing what we're seeing as the audience.
It's a really cheap callback though when Roy Scheider. I think see him like Sean dying's fine, but bring it back Roy Scheider and like her not even doing a heroic thing like he does, because she doesn't like become him. Like they're like her son and Mario Van Peebles' character Jake are the ones doing everything.
Yeah, it's a group effort. In a way, I kind of.
She's like the only thing she did was like drive the boat out there and get everybody caught up in the whole business. You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's dealing with Ellen's like psychosis in this movie. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh. Like,
Michael Caine has to wreck his plane for her, and it's like, can you imagine how much more drama he's gonna have to go through after this?
And you know what else is? You know what else is? And this goes back.
He had another plane at the end of the movie. His plane was fine. He had a whole.
Yeah, they fish it. They fish it out. Obviously, they fish it out of the water. Apparently,
but it's just the beginning of his problems. So he's such a happy-go-lucky dude now. Now it's just gonna be like drama all the time.
Oh, I know, because until she gets some therapy and works through these emotions, I mean, his life has gone from,
there's a new shark regenerator too.
She doesn't stay in the Bahamas. So he'll just see her when she's in town again. Another one of his stories that he tells people.
That's it.
But she flies the whole. Oh gosh. So my thing with the last, after they have killed the shark allegedly, but they're all just flailing around in the water and in open water. And we know that before Michael Caine does his crash land, he did send out a call for like the Coast Guard or something, saying, "Give me two boats on here, and something." Like he's basically asking for them to come, and he gives them their coordinates. So we know that help is on the way. They got that covered. My problem is when they find MVP drifting along, bleeding all over his body. I'm sorry, folks. We want to believe he's still alive from that, but I'm sorry. If if they're just drifting in the water with no access to a first aid kit, no way to stop the bleeding of very deep lacerations.
Which they don't even bother to try either. On top of
He
that,
bled to death in the open ocean before those boats could get there. He's donezo.
Their boat's not sunk.
Yes, their boat is sunk.
Yeah, it's in pieces. It's in pieces.
It's just like the first movie.
Sinks with the shark.
Oh, okay. I think we're all right. So I don't remember. It blows up and everybody's in the water, and I think there's chunks of the boat
in the
don't
water.
Remember Ellen Brody in the water?
It's blown up. I don't remember exactly. It's weird. I don't remember it either. But so Michael Caine and Ellen Brody are like hanging on to one piece of the boat in the water, and then Mario Van Peebles and the other dude are like swimming. And I guess the water's strong enough to hold the blood in. Instead of having to put pressure on the wound, the water's doing it.
Regardless, the first day it's not like they couldn't go surfing in the wreck to go get it. They're all divers and they're in the Bahamas, dude.
They've lost half his organs, you know.
Yeah. Also, not to put a dark interpretation on the last few seconds of this movie, but you know what, I'm going to do it anyway. The fact of the matter is that they're in open water in the Bahamas. Sure, there's no great whites there, but you have just created a huge thing of blood in the middle of the waters. Yeah, sure, there's no great whites there, but guess what? There's so many other different kinds of sharks out there. You have now created a feeding frenzy that's going to happen with a bunch of, say, mako sharks or tiger sharks. You got a bunch of different other schools of sharks that'll just swarm all over them. Basically, they're dead. They're all going to die out there before the Coast Guard even gets there. So I think the last unbelievably happy moments of this movie, where she gets into a plane and says goodbye to her family, is basically Ellen's Jacob's Ladder scenario, her last dream before she dies in the open water, and it's her flying off into the afterlife with Michael Caine.
Because that's hilarious. That's actually hilarious. And well,
the fact that back. I mean, his plane shouldn't be back either. So
exactly, it's in her head.
And the fact that Lance Gibbs isn't divorced in that last scene, and they're happy and waving goodbye.
And did you see? And also, did you see like her face? Like when she grabs his face and kisses him, he's like, "Are you sure you're going to be okay?" And Lance Guest's reaction is no words. He just looks at her. He doesn't say yay or nay. But we know that poor guy, he's never going to be right. He is so traumatized. I don't think even if he survives that, I don't think he survives mentally. He's going to get divorced. He's going to get depressed. And by the way, after all is said and done, they didn't really get any real data on this great white shark. So their whole scheme to get more money and grants and be a doctorate, guess what? They have totally curtailed any hope of getting that. That guy, I'm sorry to say, he'll probably commit suicide a couple of years after this movie.
You're too far.
Well,
He's donezo. So in a sense, the shark has succeeded in his quest for vengeance in one way or another.
That's really far out there, Thomas.
Yeah.
You know.
I take the scene to mean what it means when we see it, but it is really cheesy and like odd. It really should have just ended in the water, you know?
Well,
yeah, it's like the other movie did. It's like it's so weird they added a coda scene on there that's just like
it's
everything's
closure.
Fine.
It's closure-ish.
But I mean, there's closure at the end of the first movie when
in the world of the Jaws franchise, it's closure for all these characters' story. If this was successful, I doubt they would have gone back to this family. They would have tried something new. It's closure for all their stories. They can start something new. Even if Lauren Gray, who they got out of retirement to do this one, I doubt she would have came out of retirement again to do another one if this was successful. None of the other actors wanted to come back already. I guarantee you this was not ever designed to be the last one if it was successful. They would have tried to find a way to do more Jaws films, just like they did The Exorcist and everything else. After, we couldn't get Linda Blair to come back for a third one, Exorcist movie, but she did a second one. Well, we got to start over and do something completely different. So let's steal a book that wasn't really The Exorcist and make that into an Exorcist movie.
Yeah, I think I think if this movie was successful, even if it had a monochrome of the success of, say, Jaws 2, which wasn't nearly as big as the first one, but it still made a great deal of money. I think we definitely would have found ourselves in the Back to the Future 2 timeline, where because by the time Marty McFly goes to the future of 2015 Hill Valley, he sees outside the theater Jaws 19 in 3D, and the computer generated, which by then surely the shark would have been fully CGI. Comes out and tries to hit him, and of course tries to eat him, and of course he's like, shark still doesn't look real. And you know what? He's right. Even by then, the shark still wouldn't look real.
Let's talk about the shark. I mean, I think in this one, it looks a little bit like it looks a lot like a giant puppet and it kind of moves like a parade float. But there's like a really great shot of it. I don't like it standing on its tail, like, you know, but there's one really good shot when he's chasing around Lance Guest where he busts through the wall and the ladder like kind of keeps it at bay. That was a pretty good shot. The shark looked good in that one shot.
It looks better than it did in Jaws 3.
I think, I think the shark looks really good in this film, especially in the underwater sequences.
Yeah, I think it's a real shark, actually.
In this film. We have a lot of underwater sequences in this film.
I think I really think sometimes it is a real shark, but they're able to do. But
I don't know about real shark, but
I think there's real sharks in it.
I don't think they can afford a real shark. So. But let me ask you all this.
An Italian shark movie. You know, the Italian shark movies had all real sharks in them because they couldn't do anything else. But
yeah. We Italians make sharks eat zombies. That's how we do it. But I was thinking though, like, let me ask y'all a question. Did the shark in this one seem smaller than 3 and 1? It seems smaller, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It can't get bigger than part 3. I mean, you're in Megalon territory.
They didn't even bother to define how big the shark is in this one.
But in that shot, the wide shot of the shark coming up on the ship, with that when Ellen Brody's in it, makes it look like it's a big ass fucking shark. But not like part 3.
Yeah. Part 3.
Like... Oh my god. We all laughing how big that
what a 35 pound shark in that one.
Oh, Jesus.
But I will say that the one thing that really would have given us more closure and would have made the last bit the death of the shark so much more impactful. That's the word I'm going to use, is impactful, because yes, that's what this movie lacked, is impact. Because let's face it came out at a time. By the way, this movie came out in '87. This was like the heyday of action and the heyday of movies like RoboCop. This came out like RoboCop was number 1, and this movie was number 3. And then it drops.
It was like the re-release of Snow White was number 2, apparently.
Yeah.
Is that?
You do. Yeah, the early Disney movies didn't make money on the original releases. They made money on their re-releases.
Actually, I saw Snow White in the theater. I went and saw that re-release
that year.
Yeah.
And you admitted it. Haha.
Yeah.
I liked it, man. I was like, I saw it twice. They went back
movie.
to see it another time, man.
87. Yeah, 87 was a great year, and it was also a great year for Arnold Schwarzenegger, who probably could have given us some really good kill lines for the shark, because this movie just borrows the kill line from the first movie and just kind of cut and pastes it in a very haphazardy sort of way. So, if I may, ladies and gentlemen, put forth our Schwarzenegger alternators for the kill line of Jaws 4. This is the last time we'll be able to do this with this franchise, so I'm gonna savor it if we can. So yeah, for all of y'all don't know, and if you don't know, are you really listening to the show? I don't know. But when I'm here, I like to do this thing where, most horror movies have the kill line or the hero killing the monster line. That is just the last little zinger. And I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger and his writers especially in the 80s, were the masters of the zinger. So I got 4 of these. And again, I cannot attest to the quality of them, but I'm going to try, because that's what I do on this show. I try.
Do it.
Do it. I'm going to do it.
All right.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now imagine Schwarzenegger is playing Ellen Brody. She is driving this driving
Is he like? Are we seeing him as Ellen Brody with her hair, or just Schwarzenegger?
I think with the hair. Go full, yeah. Let's you know what? Let's embrace the crazy this movie had no courage to do. Let's do that. Okay. So Schwarzenegger is Ellen Brody. And then picture her just ramming the shark with the stick. And she says, "Fish on a stick, my favorite." Number 2. Dun 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 dun. Guess what, Jaws? We finally got a bigger boat.
Oh boy!
Didn't have a bigger boat. It's about
Number
the same size
3.
with the ship.
Number 3. I think it works better when I do the build up to the music. Dun, 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 dun. I'm making shark fin soup tonight, boys.
Oh my god! It's good. It's they ring true.
And finally, thank you. And finally, number 4. Dun dun. No more sequels for you. One works better. One works better with the explosion scene.
Yeah. No, I mean, upon thinking about it more, Fish on the Stick was a pretty good one because that does kind of happen, even though it only happens in the original ending.
Right.
Yeah. Fish on a Stick, my favorite. Because also we didn't even mention the fact that this movie starts. It almost seemed like it's preoccupied with food, because like it starts off almost the very first image is a fried fish eye, like the eye of a fish that's getting fried at the Brody house, because they're frying fish for Christmas because I guess they're Catholic, and
so 7 fishes maybe.
Yeah, my family does that too every Christmas. So I think it works to have like 2 cooking zingers for when she kills the shack.
All right. So now that we've gone through your Schwarzenegger alternators, is there any final words before we get to rating the movie, guys?
Well,
no, I think I would go ahead.
I would say something. It's not about it is about the movie, but it's not really. It's just an interesting thing about casting. I thought I was reading about Ellen Brody, and when she decided she wanted to do the film, she agreed to do it only if she was going to get second billing. Michael Caine was supposed to get first billing. I think it's weird that he ended up not getting it. Any idea why that might have been?
I don't know. I think it's just because he's such a supporting character. I mean, he's barely in the movie.
Right. It's still, if you think about it, if they gave him top billing, it would just, in your mind, you would think he was in the movie more than he really was, though.
Right.
Yeah, I think that is it. I mean, really, billing is a huge legal thing that agents work out with studios and things like that. It's a whole thing.
But it's just so weird the way that was the original deal, was she was going to get second billing, and it's weird that it changed. And it's like Michael Caine headlining it probably would have looked better too for an audience.
Yeah. They probably should have put him on the poster. But although I will say, and we can't show this on a audio only podcast, but the poster to this movie is pretty freaking epic. I'd say it's the second best poster of this franchise. The first being the iconic one, of course, for the first movie. But this one features like the iconic shark rising from the depths, but also has Ellen Brody on the prow. On the prow? Is it the prow or the stern?
She's on. She's actually, she's standing in the front of the ship. Like, she's not actually on the end of the thing. Like, Van Peebles is.
Yeah, and she's got a freaking spear, which she never holds.
Here it is for reference. So you can see it. Man. It's a great cover, though.
It's a great cover.
And I don't think Michael Caine being on the cover would have helped it. Maybe his plane coming up, and it would have complicated the whole cover if you added him to
it. Can I just say one thing I do love and I do miss about 80s movies is you always had like in the opening credits and Michael Caine as
Brody or
Yeah.
Hoagie.
As
Hoagie. They would always name one of the characters.
Yeah.
And
That
you'd go
is
like,
awesome.
oh, cool. Who's that kind of guy going to be?
I can't wait to see Hoagie.
Yeah. I think in the last one it was like, and Louis Gossett Jr. as Calvin Bouchard. Like, whoa, he gets named in the opening credits. So that guy's going to be a badass. I can't wait to see what that guy's going to do. Yeah. I wish they'd bring that back.
Yeah, they still do that sometimes. Yeah,
Do that.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Conkle. I will make sure to do that in anything that I hopefully create.
I do it. I really do that.
I
have an actor. He requests that credit.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I don't give a fuck.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Are we ready to rate the movie now?
Let's do it.
All right, so for everyone listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies. We rate it from 1 to 5, 1 being 4, 5 being amazing. But what we love to do is we love to pull an object, a quote or saying from the film to attribute to our quote. What is your rating for the film, and what object, quote, or saying do you attribute to the film? And we're going to start off with you, Mr. Conkle.
Okay. Oh, man. I guess... I'm sorry. I gotta rate it and say, okay. You just gave me the rules. I'm gonna give it a strobe light. All right. I'm sorry. Zoned
That's
out.
okay. That's a good object. You got it.
Okay, I'm gonna give it a strobe light. Now, before we had this conversation, I would have given it like half a strobe light. All right. But Kevin, your defense of the movie has raised it. I can see where you're coming from, but I give it now an entire 1 strobe light.
Holy shit. I thought you were going to come up with something bigger than that.
I thought you were going to go 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it the rare 6 strobe lights.
Holy shit!
No.
You wouldn't even give the movie 5.
I'm going to give
you're like I like this movie, but I'm giving it 1 star.
No. I'm glad I got to see the other side of the story from Kevin and everything, and I remember watching this movie a lot. But watching this movie today actually made me very angry. And so I don't give it a half a strobe light. I give it 1 strobe light because I can see how I respect that. I can see how they tried to take the material seriously, even if the foundation was a little shaky. So,
all right, what about you, Mr. Thomas?
Oh boy! There's so many marvelous and terrible objects that I could pick in this movie, aside from the strobe detonator question mark thing that they created for this movie. I was gonna go with, because I was so enthralled with the NES game and trying to stick that shark with the pointy prow of the ship. I was gonna go with the broken stick prow thing of the ship. I was gonna do that because I feel like it defined a small part of my childhood. Sure. But I'm not gonna do that because things have changed. I've changed. I've become a bigger, better man. I'm a mature man, I hope. And so instead, I'm going to go with something a little more tasty. I'm going to go with 1.5 fried fish eyes. From the very beginning of the movie, of almost the first major image that isn't a point of view shot of the shark roaming around the waters. That big old black fish eye.
I'm hungry now, man. It looked delicious.
I'm hungry too, guys.
Yeah,
I honestly am.
I'm gonna kick you on your ass, Thomas. You're always picking my objects.
It's because great minds think alike, Kevin. Right. We're so simpatico now.
Except for with this movie. But go ahead.
Except for this movie.
Yeah. Except for this movie. But yeah, 1.5 fried fish eyes out of 5. Because I don't like it. I'm glad I saw it again though, so that I could not think about it again. I did learn from the badness of this movie. I did learn that, no matter how much you work at a turd, some turds just cannot be polished that much. But I also learned that there are things that can make the turd more bearable. And I also learned that sometimes the impaling of the shark is so much better than seeing it explode.
Oh Jesus!
And what else did I learn? I learned that that the Bahamas are great and Hawaii is probably better because that's where they actually shot this movie. In fact, my wife keeps telling me that she wants us to go live in Hawaii for a year. And I keep telling her, well, then I guess I better write a script that's set in Hawaii so we can make that movie. You can live in Hawaii while you're shooting the movie for a year and then come back to the States. That would be perfect. So Lord willing, one day, let that happen.
All right, what about you, Dave?
So, like what you said about the polishing of a turd, I think it's the polishing that's the problem with this movie. It's also it's what makes it good. It's also what makes it bad. Because the polished part is good, but then it doesn't. But then the foundation is what makes it not work. Because they're trying, like I've said it several times, they basically treated it like it was a good movie, but didn't quite. They didn't have a good foundation. Yeah. Now I'm going to give an honorable mention to Carla Brody's panties that she slingshots at Mike. That's not the one I'm going to pick, but I'm close to it. I do like them a lot, though. Yeah. But what I'm going to pick is the banana boat leg that gets eaten. Yeah. And I'm going to give it 2.5 of those.
Not bad. That's pretty respectable.
I'm gonna go a little bit more subdued with this film. And you all know out there I usually go really violent, but we've already talked that this movie isn't that violent. So I'm gonna go with the conch animals or the shells that they're tracking. Okay, so I'm gonna give it that these two guys, Mario Van Peebles and Lance Guest, are only tracking 3.5 conchs. Yeah. So
bad, that's very generous of you.
Well, like I said,
we hear the reasons why.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, well, we've already talked about those. Yeah. That, I'm not gonna change the thought processes for the film because it is even though it is a product of its time. And for the time in which I watched it, I still watch the film under those same kind of I don't even know where I'm looking. Those same kind of ideals and stuff like that. This is not the same as if I was watching the movie for the very first time now. Right. If I had watched it now for the very first time, I would be closer to everything that you guys are saying, but that's not when I watched it. That's not what I grew up with. This is why the second Jaws is considered the worst one to me, because it's the last one I saw. Right. It is the one I enjoy the least. And the first one just trumps all of them, mostly because it's a really, really, really well done film. It is not by far my favorite Spielberg film. I think a lot of accidents happened on the very first Jaws that just happenstance made it a fucking brilliant film. I think even today Spielberg would say, because he doesn't want to do another film on water, I had too many fuck ups on that movie. I'm just glad I had something at the end of the day. We made do with what we had, but it's not exactly what I envisioned. And that's why this is a film that I don't think is one of his best films, because it's not what Jaws wasn't one of his first films that he envisioned it the way it came out. It just came out because of happenstance. And,
yeah, I mean, I think the first one is amazing, even though that's part of what makes it amazing is that it happened, even though it.
Yeah, but the thing is, then you don't blame you don't put all of those ideals and those thought processes on the filmmaker that made the film. It's all happenstance. When I think of a great Steven Spielberg film, Jaws is that movie that just kind of blind fucking luck made it a great movie. And it's not the same as when I say Close Encounters of the Third Kind is one of my favorite fucking Spielberg movies, dude. It's not the same as me saying E.T. is a fucking brilliant movie. It's not the same as saying Saving Private Ryan is a fucking brilliant movie. Jaws is the movie that had a lot of accidents that just happened to make it a great movie. And it's also one of his first films. Like, you're not going back to looking at Sugarland Express and saying that's a great fucking movie, because you're not. Even
I mean, I had a hard time with Sugarland Express. I watched that recently. Yeah. But it was, but I mean, the thing is, even though I think it would have been worse had he gotten it done the way he originally wanted to, because it would have been a lot more shark, you know.
We will never find out. We will never know unless he decides.
It would have been like Jaws 2. You know, you would have seen a lot more shark in it.
No, because I think of like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park is a far superior film because I think if you look at Jaws and you look at Jurassic Park, there's a lot of similar elements to the way those two films unfold. And it's all because of his brilliance as a director from the experience he learned from making shit like Jaws. And so, this film here, it has its problems. But the same problems, the reasons why I like this is also the reason why I don't really go back to rewatch a lot of Spielberg movies. There's not a bunch of fucking African Americans in Spielberg movies. There's just not. He is someone who just does not envelop other races like other people do. Like Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson's in Jurassic Park. He's one of the first people to get fucking killed.
I mean, there is the color purple, but that's about
it. He did it. He put it all in the color purple. He said, like,
all in the color purple, dude. And maybe Amistad, but I don't like Amistad.
Oh yeah.
Amistad has Djimon Hounsou. I think he did great. I just think it's a mediocre fucking movie.
Yeah.
So the thing about the Jaws franchise is the very first film set a high bar that no Jaws or shark film in general has ever been able to live up to. It was the first summer blockbuster movie. Yeah. It's the first shark movie that did anything. It made people fear the water. It made people go out of their way to kill sharks because they thought sharks were dangerous when in fact they were not. That's what Jaws, it was a cultural
they'll eat you, man. You saw the movie.
So no other film, including Jaws and Revenge, could ever live up to that. Ever. And it never will. Someone will remake Jaws. Spielberg may die before they remake Jaws, but someone will remake Jaws, and it will never be the same thing because you can't. It's lightning in the bottle.
Yeah, I agree. Although I will say, it is the only Jaws thing that I would like to see, but only if it's a really good filmmaker. You can't just pull some TV director like they did in the second movie. Although Joseph Sargent was an accomplished filmmaker before he did this thing, but it has to be someone with a really good take. And what I would love to see is a prequel about the 1890 something Amityville island. And
Amity, not Amityville.
You're right.
You're trying to put those two franchises together.
Put them together, man.
I derailed myself. No. But that would be no. But I'd want to see a prequel about the original shark attack in the turn of the century that inspired Pierre Benchley's book. Basically take the true story and pretend like that it really happened years and years ago, and then you have basically a way to do Jaws in a way where you can have like your characters try to go after the shark with even less technology, with even less stuff at their disposal, and destroy this thing. You could do an interesting thing and make it a period drama. In fact, you could do it to where it's like almost entirely just the three guys on the boat, whereas the first Jaws was like pretty much half and half, half on the land with drama and then half three men on the boat. So that I might be interested in seeing, because that would be different. That would be a different take on it, and it would be taking it back to the original, but also doing something with it, and also upping the stakes. Because like I said, these guys would have almost nothing. They would have like harpoons and maybe like a couple of flintlock pistols or something to fight there's nothing you could blow the shark up with, except maybe like a canister of gunpowder or something.
Some dynamite, man. They gotta have dynamite. You gotta blow the shark up again.
Well, they'd find the way. It would be very similar to the movie they did, The Voyage of the Last Demeter. They'd find the way.
Don't spoil that. I still haven't seen it.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I love that movie. I'm not going to explore it. Yeah, they did a fucking great job with the movie. Yeah.
I thought it was.
Hey, got it preloaded, man.
So
I think Dave is psychic. I think he knows the movies we're going to like.
He knows where they are on the shelf. Because they're all alphabetical.
But some of them I have out, like just because I saw that on the Blu-ray. I hadn't watched the 4K yet, but I have it out so I don't like foul it. Yeah.
Okay.
So with that, I want to thank everyone for joining us on this conversation in horror. I hope you, the audience, have enjoyed us talking about Jaws: The Revenge. Please make sure to check out the other 3 episodes that we did on the rest of the franchise: Jaws, Jaws 2, and Jaws 3D. You can get them all at the same time today, so it should be an amazing all-day experience if you want to listen to us talk about Jaws movies, or just take them as they come during the week, please.
I recommend listening to them all together. Full effect.
Yeah.
Full effect. With that, I want to thank you all. Please make sure to like, share, follow, do that thing you do with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. And please don't forget to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which is the first and third Friday every month. Make sure to check them both out. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, I want to thank you all for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.
Farewell and adieu, you Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer, Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.